Pour me some water, please.
Okay, we will call to order the City of Ojai Parks and Rec Commission meeting regular meeting for Thursday, April 7th, 2016. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Ford, can you lead us?
Certainly. Thank you. Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. And roll call.
Hey, Commissioner Gilbert,
Present.
Commissioner Wilson, Commissioner Roddick, absent. Commissioner Wilson, absent. Commissioner Intner,
Here?
Commissioner Duddick,
Here.
Commissioner Firestone,
Here.
Commissioner Ford.
Here.
Again, absent tonight are Commissioner Wilson and Commissioner Roddick.
Thank you. And I don't have any public comment cards. Anybody wish to say anything? Not yet? Perfect. And we're going to jump around a little bit to Rudy Livingston, the Director of Finance, is going to be here. But first we will jump to the Police Department report, if you're ready. Excellent.
Good evening, everyone. Again, I'd like to report that there's been no major incidents at the parks over the last month. The deputies are continuing to do a lot of foot patrols in the parks. They did 75 foot patrols in the park last month, which is quite a bit for a city. So they're doing an outstanding job. We did get a couple calls for services, especially at Libby Park. Most of them were homeless people, either drinking or smoking marijuana. During one of the incidents, somebody was arrested for a warrant. And then the only other incident was a suspicious subject call, somebody disturbing. It appeared to be a woman having some mental health issues, harassing other people at the park. When deputies went to contact her, she kind of went after some of the people in the park, where the deputies had to step in to prevent her from getting to the people. She was arrested and taken to jail. So luckily we haven't, those were the only three incidents, two or three incidents where we had to, take police action. So it's going pretty good besides those incidents. The only other interesting things that have happened in the city over the last month is, I don't know if you've heard, that we did have a deceased person found on Montgomery by Broadbuck. Our major crimes detectives and the coroner responded. At this time, it appears the person may have been a homeless person who just passed away in that location. However, they're still doing an investigation to make sure that there's no foul play, but at this time, we're pretty sure that this public's safe and that it's going to be an incident of natural causes. The only thing else I could bring up is last week, I don't know if you've heard, that there was an incident at Matilah Junior High School where a student went to school, made some threats of harming other students and teachers. Luckily, there were some students who realized how serious the threats were. They contacted the school vice principal, who contacted law enforcement. We responded with the deputies and investigators. Within a couple hours, we did have the juvenile in custody. After our investigation and with the person in custody, we feel that there was no other safety issues at the school. The juvenile was booked in juvenile hall, and the case was submitted to the district attorney's office, and it's going to be handled in juvenile court. So we're very confident that there's no other safety issues at the school. So I'd just like to point out that I want to congratulate the kids that did report it. There's a statistic about with active shooters where 80% of the incidents, somebody was told about the threats prior to the incident. And, because these are happening over and over, people are finally realizing that we have to take these threats seriously and report them to the authorities. So I'd like to congratulate those kids for doing an outstanding job of taking that action and reporting it to the authorities. So they did a really good job. So with that, are there any questions or anything I could help anybody with?
Anything from any of the commissioners? No? I would definitely like to give a big congrats to the kids that notified Vice Principal Ramirez about the incident as well, so
Yes.
it's good to hear. All right. What else? Thank you.
No, thank you. Have a great night.
You too. Have a good night. All right. We are then going to turn it over to Mr. Livingston. Not really.
No, it is,
It's
it
a
is
separate
not,
late
yeah,
edition.
yeah, late edition, not on the agenda.
Sorry.
Good evening. It's my first time that I've actually been before you, and it's probably long overdue. I probably should have been here a long time ago. The reason why I'm here this evening is because over the last few weeks or so, I've been having several conversations with Sophocles regarding the reserves that we have for the Parks and Rec, the surplus that we agreed to transmit over to the Capital Projects Fund for use for parks projects. And you guys know the history of that better than I do. I've only been here for about 15 months or so, and so I'm just learning all the little pieces and everything we have to go. But there seems to be a bit of confusion and on what's going on and where things are and all those kind of just a lot of questions. And I figured that it would probably be worth my time and your time to be able to sit in, just come here and just have a real brief discussion with you regarding these issues and where we are. I will say that prior to my arrival at the city, I don't know that things were well documented in a lot of areas, and we know that there was. This has only been going on for about 3 years now, isn't that correct?
The having actual surplus?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, so, I started going back, last year in part of the budget the preparation of the budget, I started looking at where we were with reserves. And we do that every year and look at reserves in the different funds. And specifically, I started looking at the Capital Projects Fund. And basically, just so you know, the Capital Projects Fund has 3 basic components to their reserve. One of those is for vehicles and equipment replacement. One of those is for general capital improvements. And the third piece of that is this, what we'll call for lack of a better term, Parks and Rec reserves. And so the theory behind that is, we accumulate money and funds over time to take care of different needs that we have in the city. Unfortunately, as I tried to figure out exactly what our reserve balances were in the Park and Rec reserve last year, I started going back and looking at a lot of history and looking at numbers and calculating things, and I don't think it was very well documented on. Well, we knew what went into there, but we didn't necessarily know what the funds were being spent on. And so as I went through and put together the budget last year, to the best of my abilities, I was able to determine that we started off in the Recreation Fund at the beginning of fiscal 14. So that would have been fiscal 15, 14, 15. So June 30, 14. To the best I could determine, we had about $20,000 roughly in these Parks and Rec reserve amounts sitting in the Capital Projects Fund that we have. During the year, we added approximately $107,000 of funds that were put into that reserve during the 14-15 year to come up with an estimated balance. And these were estimated numbers. I haven't gotten final numbers because for a lot of reasons our audit is finally finished. I finally actually have financial statements for our June 30th. A lot of reasons, including, well, I won't even go into those. But so until I actually have final numbers, I'm not real comfortable about calculating final things and giving you guys real numbers, which I will have for you shortly. Sophocles is estimating that it was about $90,000. I was estimating that it might be about $107,000, so there's a slight, $17,000 difference. So we're estimating that there would be, going with Sophocles' number, about $110,000 of reserve at the end of June 30th, 2015. Okay? And being conservative, I'm a very conservative budgeting guy, and because I would much rather say, yeah, we did great, rather than saying, oh my gosh, we missed the mark bad and it's going to cost us. So what in the budget last year, we looked at what our capital project needs were for park projects that we kind of had penciled in over the next 5 years or so, and we were estimating just conservatively that our surplus would be about $30,000 a year. Now, gratefully, that's probably an extremely low number, but we don't want to commit money that we're not going to have. And so in our projections, we projected that there would be an increase in fiscal 15-16 of approximately $30,000. Likely, it'll probably be about $50,000 to $60,000 more than that. At least that's kind of what, our estimates are kind of at this point in time. And I'll be putting together a new estimate in the next 3 weeks before I bring the proposed budget to council. So we'll have some good numbers. On April 26th, we're actually bringing that to council. So we'll have updated numbers here. So of that $110,000 roughly that we had programmed to spend, we had identified 2 different projects that we figured that were on our capital projects listing. One of those is the picnic area, which is an ongoing project right now. It's, it'll be happening here in the next.
Well, now not till late August, early
Yeah,
September.
but that's where we targeted some of those money and some minor repairs, I guess, to the roof. I don't know exactly what they were over at the Boyd Center. So the total of those what we anticipated was about $113,000 of expenditures this year. And so in last year's budget, we were anticipating that we would have about $43,000 of money available at June 30th of 16. Now, I'll have a better number for you, like I said, in a couple of weeks on where we actually are with those numbers. Now, what we know is that in the Capital Projects Fund, we have a lot of different things going on. This was a great year for parks projects. I mean, that playground is incredible. I haven't gone and played in it. I probably should. I actually, helped for a few minutes when I could get away. But it's awesome, and every time I go by there, the kids are just loving it. I mean, every time I go by there, it just seems like everybody's having a great time. So we did not even anticipate using any of this capital project money for that. We took that from other sources of what we're doing. So, we're pretty, like I said, we have conservative budgeting on these things. Mr. Grant has a 5-year plan that we're looking at, kind of where we're penciling these things in. But I just wanted to come forward and give you that and let you know that I am very serious about tracking where our expenditures go. I was just having a conversation with a lady at the VCTC, which they, we get grant money from them for our transit and streets and sidewalks and all kinds of different things. And it's one of those things that we're going to be tightening up a lot of this accountability that we have here. Money has been brought in and it's been spent for good projects. But if I were to sit here and try and tell you exactly where it went to, I couldn't do it today. So I just want to come before you and let you know that we are working on these things, and we have the best interests of the city, in mind here. And so I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of a heads up where we are and answer any questions that you may have. So,
Questions? Thank you, first of all. Thank you for coming.
I was going to ask, are you changing how things are tracked? Do you have a new system, or what is kind of?
Yeah, one of the problems we have, to be honest with you, is we're short an accountant. I mean, 2 years ago, the accountant position was eliminated, and hopefully we're adding that back. And so it's a manpower issue. So what we're going to be doing is hopefully we'll have another person that can help me with tracking where everything goes, but we're also going to get better on coding things to the proper places. And that's one of the deficiencies, or well, I wouldn't say necessarily deficiency. People have been doing the best that they could do, but it's one of those areas where I've identified that we can do better at. And so that's what we're going to be working on, yeah. Coding and tracking things.
Thanks.
I just have a quick, no question the projects have been great, and what's been done with the money is excellent. I think the confusion here comes from the level of detail that things are communicated to us is different than it seems the level of detail in the accounting. And I think that's what's leading to some of the misunderstandings here, is that when we hear there's this much, and even when we had our joint session with council, it was, there's going to be some money available, come back to us with what projects you'd like to pick off your list to do with that money. And so our coming back over and over again going, do we have that number yet, is a direct relationship, I think, to those experiences for our commission and our hope to be able to look at the list as we make these decisions and help with the prioritization of the spending. And so I think what I'm hearing is that the level of detail of understanding of surplus and the general project fund reserves for parks, they're one thing in your mind at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
And in the future, we're hoping to go to a place where maybe we can see the surplus as a piece of that, and that's a coding issue, so that when we're communicating about the surplus and our commission is looking to look at our projects and our prioritizations, we can cherry pick off of there. And so I think a lot of our discussions in this circling around this over and over, and I think a frustration here is that we've been given numbers. So we take those numbers back and want to work with them, but then we're told, well,
yeah,
that might not be the number, or that money's not there anymore, or we're just so I think, so for right now, as we circle back to what we're looking at, which is there a number, is there a surplus, can we pick some projects? You're saying maybe in 3 weeks we'll have an answer to that?
Yeah, what I will tell you is that the reason I'm here is because I'm tired of the confusion.
I'm sure.
Okay? Because quite frankly, I mean, we've got Sophocles here who's great at park stuff. And that's what he does. I mean, he's just great with the recreation side of things. I mean, and we got Greg, who's good on the capital project side of things, but they don't always know how to explain the financial side of things. And even though, they may, it's just, I think there's a communication gap. And so I'm going to probably come, I'm not going to come to every meeting, but I'm going to at least make it to a couple of meetings to be able to give you updates on where we are. I think that's fair to all of you, and I think that would help, because it's like, well, where are we? I totally understand exactly what you're saying. It's like, where are we? It's frustrating, and it's not knowing. Now, one thing, when you mentioned about different projects, see, we've estimated what we anticipate, conservatively, of course, these surpluses to be over these coming years. And so we are actually implementing those numbers as part of a 5-year capital projects plan. Now, that's not set in stone, obviously, but that is an identification of various different projects that we think are going to be happening. And so part of the budget development is in that area, and sometimes they get pushed off, sometimes they happen sooner, sometimes we drop something off and we have something else that comes in there. So if somebody's saying that we have all this extra money that we think we might be able to program in, they're probably wrong, okay? But it might be okay. But we should have a knowledgeable discussion about things, and that's where I'm going to come in here to help you out with that.
Okay, so then another question for me is part of the change in the funding due to the loss of the CDBG monies? Is that what we're also, because before we saw budgets that included in that 5-year plan CDBG money to fulfill those project budgets in the CIP, which is no longer going to be coming in. And I think, are we now, just so that I understand, are we now going to take these surpluses and feed that in there to backfill what our plans were for CDBG money?
I don't know how long it's been since we've had CDBG money, but I've looked at my general ledger and I haven't seen it for at least 3 years. I don't know how long it's been.
Well, the picnic
since
area is
we've had
being
it.
funded with it, but that came in 3 years ago?
Well, yeah, I mean, so these are projects that have been, and I'm not sure.
Probably.
Yeah.
I know.
Is it actual
Probably
is
been
it
that
actual
much.
CDBG funds that we're getting for that?
It is.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
it is. I think 80,000,
Yeah.
90,000.
So some of these things, we may have gotten them up front, and so that money's sitting there waiting for these projects. Yeah, I mean, the answer to that is we have a few major funding sources for capital projects. A huge part of them is what we have 20% of our TOT revenue has been dedicated towards the capital projects within the city. We also have several grant sources that come in, and we also have other funding sources, like we have the AB 939 money, which is, recycling stuff, and predominantly that kind of stuff's going to be going for, some of it to the park playground because it was, eligible for that. Some of it trash cans because there all kinds of things. So we're trying to target and where we can leverage our money. So we have a lot of different funding sources. We've lost money from RDA. I mean, over the last 6 years or so, RDA money, it's gone. And some of that stuff would have been used for some projects if they were eligible. CDBG money is dried up. I haven't seen any in a while. We've had a lot of different areas where we used to get money, and sometimes it's really sporadic. Sometimes we get some money 1 year and we won't have any the next 3 years, and then we'll get some more again. So it all depends. We're applying, for several different grants. The Public Works Department is primarily the ones responsible for that, applying for several different grants, and they're getting some, but they're mostly streets related right now. So to the extent that we get money like that to pay for some of these big projects, then we have a little bit more of that excess that can be put into, that would have been going for these projects that maybe could be going to parks projects instead. So, yeah.
And
What we aren't using is the parks money is not being used to subsidize streets or roads or anything like that.
Totally understand
Yeah.
that. So to understand the relationship between the CIP and the budget office, Greg comes up with the CIP, and then you two work together on the funding mechanisms for the 5-year plan?
Well, he puts together a 5-year plan. A lot of it is determined by what his capacity is. Because, if we come up with all these, we could come up with this great idea that we're going to have $1 million of projects here, but if we don't have the capacity to do that, then we don't. So we look at things in the city and look and say, well, what are some of the needs that we have? Some of them are really glaring. Some of them are like, you know what, we have changed our priorities. Council may say, okay, well, we think we need to, put a fountain over here or, whatever. So those things are analyzed. In the budget process, Greg usually, he puts together what he knows of items that are out there for that. And we come together, and usually between Greg and me, city manager, we bring that to council for their approval, get input from there. And those are the things that we put into the spending plan. Now, when we're talking about CIP budget, it's really more of a long-term thing. And it's really, I'm actually going to be working on trying to get about maybe a 10-year, projection coming up in the next few years so we can work off of that. But what I would say is if there are some definite needs that are identified by, the commission here, and there's some needs, and those can be brought forth, and those things on that CIP plan can change.
More specifically, the funding and the funding sources. I haven't seen the latest CIP, but the versions that we saw previously were still including CDBG money as part of the funding sources. I don't know if I've seen the latest one, though, for some of the funding sources to fund those projects.
Only to the extent that we believe it's going to be coming.
Okay, so that's changing. So the
Yes,
one we saw before
yes.
that still had CDBG money, that's
Yes.
been pulled back. And so that may affect where surpluses go now that that money's gone. I
Yes.
just want to be clear on
Yes,
that.
yes.
Okay.
You may. The boss. You can jump in any time.
He's heard this all before.
Chair Dutter, members of the commission, I'm sorry I wasn't actually planning to speak tonight. I just wanted to listen really briefly. The CDBG funding, in the past, we did feel that we had a reasonable shot of getting some money in from the county on that. They've changed their focus based on what they're hearing from HUD, from the feds, that they want to be diverting that towards housing and homelessness concerns. So we got a real strong indication from the county a couple of years ago that they would not be funding any projects like that because it wasn't meeting what the HUD targets were. You're correct. The shelter project was funded several years ago with CDBG funds, and we've been able to hold on to that. And of course, we've been getting pressure from the county. Are you going to spend it? Are you going to spend it? And of course, we're moving along, and it's going to council for bid on for award on Tuesday. So it's in motion now. So, but the short answer to your question is no, we won't be relying on that CDBG and the capital improvement plan going forward. We haven't identified, how that could be backfilled. Of course, it all depends on what we've got coming in. But again, the philosophy, the direction is still to set aside that budget surplus and set that aside in the capital improvement fund. As you heard from Mr. Livingston, the goal going forward will be to actually break out a subset in that fund. Again, we understand that it all goes in that pocket and it could be shifted around, but at least we can be able to track it and say, hey, the priority is to spend these for recreation projects. So I hope that helps a little bit.
That's great, thank you.
Thank you.
And in fact, I would add that in the financial statements, you'll see it, that in the future, what we're going to see is they're going to be restricted, it's restricted or what it committed. So we'll have an item in there that's going to be committed for recreation, committed for these, so that we'll actually be able to see that and that it's there. Because we don't want that money to disappear and just be lost and be commingled with everything, because we want it, but we want to get a bang for our buck. So if we can leverage it with something else, that's what we do. So
Thank you for all the
You're
information.
welcome.
Appreciate it.
So I have a quick question.
you bet.
Regarding the Libby Park stuff,
Uh-huh.
and the financials coming from that. I know Sophocles and I had a long discussion about it before. So based off of what I'm hearing, then the understanding is that the park was estimated at X amount. The park in turn cost more than we had thought. And then at the last month's meeting, I wasn't present, but I watched it, and it said that the necessary funds overage was going to come out of Fund 31.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you're saying is that's all everybody's thrown in together, or surplus money from 14, 15, as well as whatever else is in there.
Yeah, actually, the entire project came out of Fund 31 money. Okay, and so that was from a lot of different sources, but we did not tag, if the numbers we end up with in this year, I mean, in 15 actually were better, or, some of that money might be applied to that, but we lost a major funding source that we were hoping we were going to have for that project, and it didn't come through. And so, yeah, we were short on that side of it. As far as the actual cost of the project, it wasn't really that far off target from what my recollection is. I haven't looked at the numbers here. We had a few things that came in a couple of weeks ago, but excuse me, it's really more of the funding source. One of them didn't come through that I think was going to bring us. We were anticipating about $50,000 if I remember.
But I do think there was I think it was like a $20,000
Yeah.
shortfall or
Hey,
something
right.
to that.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what it sounded 20.
And then what I guess Commissioner Dutter is saying is, so that, again, going back to the tracking, we don't know exactly whether that did come from surplus monies. Would this be an accurate statement that whether it did or didn't come from the recreation department?
It
surplus
didn't.
money to cover it?
it did
You're
not.
saying it did
No,
not.
it did not.
So just for clarification.
No.
So I think that's what, right, that you're asking, did the 20,000
Shortfall on the
shortfall
playground come from the rec
the
surplus.
recreation
Yeah,
surplus?
it came out of our general see.
I know, it's,
Okay, so just to, I mean, we talk about Fund 31 like it's some, magical thing. Well, that is our general government capital projects fund, and I'm actually changing it a little bit. We used to put a whole bunch of things in there. I'm moving autos out of there. I'm moving equipment replacement and repairs out of there, and I'm trying to make Fund 31 to be just capital projects. Okay, so we could clean it up a little bit, and I started that this year. So it will make things a lot easier to follow through. So I don't think it should be a mix of everything, but sometimes we talk about general government. I know Greg said at times I've heard that, well, it's coming from general fund. Well, maybe not. The Fund 31 is the general government capital projects fund, as opposed to, we have another one that's for the trolley, a special one for trolley replacement. So that stuff's not in there, that's all separate. So, and it comes from a lot of different sources, but yeah, realistically, we didn't come and tap what we were anticipating for any surplus in, meeting in the rec money to go into that.
okay.
Yeah. So when I'll come up with that new number that's going to be included with the proposed budget book, we'll have a better idea where things are. And
It's at the 26th meeting, you said, correct?
yeah,
Great.
and I'll plan on coming to, if the board would like me to come to a particular meeting and wants me to come and do a report of something or whatever, I'll be more than happy to do that. or maybe I, just come every once in a while and just, answer questions or just, I know that this is an area that needs a little bit of attention, and we're trying to give it a little bit more TLC to make it clean. I believe in transparency. I mean, reality, people talk transparency, but I believe, we should be able to show where everything's going. So.
Definitely. Appreciate it. And thanks for coming tonight to shed some light on some
Any
of the
other
questions.
questions, comments, anything? Okay. Well, thank you. Now we'll get back to the
It's
budget. All right, have a
All
good
right,
evening.
appreciate it. All righty. Thanks for setting that up.
Sure,
Softplace.
you're welcome.
That was helpful.
It was extremely helpful.
Good.
All right, moving on. Presentations, Allison.
Before Allison gets going on the presentation, as you may or may not know, we brought this same presentation to the Retired Businessmen's Club a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks ago. It was really nice to be invited to their organization and do this presentation. And when I say this presentation, this is a PowerPoint presentation that Allison put together. So thank you, Allison, for that. And
No problem. Softways just thought you guys might like to see it and see some nice, pretty pictures and numbers of what's going on at the rec department. So,
yeah,
Always.
and especially for some of our newer commissioners
yeah,
as well.
some of these programs
'cause
you guys
they
might not have seen before. So,
not aware of all of the programs.
yes. So obviously not all of our programs are going to be in here, but this is just our staff. You think you guys have met all of our staff now. Trevor came a couple months ago, I think, so you guys should have met everyone. Just the faces of the office there. Our open house, I think Soph is going to talk about that later. You guys have the flyer, but we're just trying to get the word out there as much as possible. Open house coming up on the 21st of May. It's pretty much the same as the last couple years, Good time, instructors, demonstrations, free food, free raffles. Soph will talk about that a little bit later. There's some pictures of last year's open house. Ms. Burgess, who you guys know, and her daughter handing out our giveaways, our bags and frisbees. I think that's our Lego instructors and bounce house. Our rock band camp was a big hit. Libby Under the Lights, so we promoted that. Obviously, that happened this past Friday. We promoted that at the meeting. Our movie nights, these are the ones we're coming to the very end. We have the April 22nd is Home. That's the last one that we advertise in this activity guide. Numbers have been consistent on that. I said average about 30 kids. You never quite know. Sometimes we get 40, sometimes we get 20, 25. So. Summer camp, but there's some summer camp photos in here. Obviously, it's been a little while since that happened, but remind you guys, I think we figured out this was ice skating.
Ice skating,
Nice.
actually.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and so that's a fun one. I think I counted like 18 peace signs in there, so it's always a go-to for the kids. I love that even day camp can even have fun in a van. Like you throw 20 kids in a van and they're still having a grand time. A couple other field trips and things. Our field trip to the PD, they take the kids on, obviously they do their big field trips on Wednesdays, but then they try and schedule just little field trips, hikes and things. So I don't remember how many, probably 20 kids went for a tour.
Usually we
Or
do
probably
a
just
van-
one van,
we do
so
a van load,
15.
14 kids.
Yeah, so we went for a tour at the police department, which they really enjoyed. They got to sit in the car and turn on the lights, and it was very fun for them. Tennis, as you guys all know, it's one of our bigger programs, all levels, adults, youth. Got some new photos of that a couple weeks back, so adult team tennis and youth lessons. Gymnastics program is doing great as always. That's the team photo from last year's during Michelle Palza. Still over 200 participants per session, classes for all ages. I think I counted, we have 20 team members right now, and they're all at over 20 team members, competing level. They just went to states, I believe, last weekend. I haven't heard how that turned out yet, but they've been doing really well. The competing team's been doing great. Couple photos. Youth basketball, as you guys know, ended a couple months ago. I just love to, it's my baby, it's my program. 322 participants, 38 teams, all volunteer coaches. That's the
two winning teams, and I almost included for that, the girls on the bottom, the second place team. I swear they're smiling even more than the first place team. They just lost the championship game, and yet their photo, they're all posing and smiling, and they just have such a great time. I love it. Couple action shots at the clinic. We're actually going to be adding a basketball program starting in the fall. People have been asking about more basketball, not just the 8 weeks during the winter, so can be adding a little bit more in. Horsemanship, it's always great photos. Caitlin went out a couple weeks ago and got us some new photos of our horsemanship. It's always beautiful out there. Ballet, we have our new instructor. It's always just the cutest. Peek your head. I try and peek my head in there like every Wednesday just to see all them
We did have
dancing
a
around.
little bit of turnover on the ballet program. We were using a private person, but now we've partnered with American, not All American Ballet, but the ballet company of Ventura. So this instructor's fantastic and has been getting a lot of positive feedback and a lot of returning ballet participants.
Let's see, fencing. This is a photo from our fencing camp. We had great numbers. They had a lot of fun. We've gotten some new equipment in there and stuff, so the class has been doing really well, thriving. Cooking and gardening, I put them together because it's the same instructor. But, so we have our gardening class and then our cooking as well, which been making some great treats, and they always share with us in the office, which we really appreciate.
We actually have a cooking camp right now going on during the spring break.
Yep.
We have 9 participants. in that
Yes.
camp.
They made oatmeal cookies today. They were delicious. Fusion soccer clinics. This is our Tuesday afternoons. It's I think the photos are the 3 to 5 year olds, and then it goes all the way up to I think 12 years old. So it's just clinics teaching kids the basics. It's not a league. They don't play games. They just come together and learn the basics of playing soccer. It's been pretty popular. And this is the Youth 5-a-side that's going on right now. I think we're 3 weeks in. There's a couple photos from last year. Great numbers this year. All volunteer coaches, even the refs or the officials, everyone's all volunteers. AYSO coordinates that. They do an amazing job. Always get really positive feedback. Kids always have a good time. Aquatics, we're gearing up for that. It'll be the 6 weeks during the summer at Villanova Pool, same as last year. We're going to be adding in private swim lessons this year, which we've gotten a few requests for that in the past. So we've always done group lessons. This year we're adding in private lessons. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we get some interest in that. Kung Fu is, you guys know about Kung Fu. I think they came and did a presentation a while back. Great program, always get good numbers. Constant trickle of new people in. This is just our drop-in activities. Threw that in there for our presentation with the club. Wanted to make them aware of that. Most of these are adult activities, so Zumba, basketball, Tai Chi. If you guys don't have a way to be active on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, we have plenty of options for you. Strength and conditioning, our open weight room, CrossFit, and senior strength program. Just all the info for that. Our senior strength program, that's one of the ones we really pushed at the Retired Men's Club, Businessmen's Club that we went to. Obviously, they work on strength, endurance, balance, all that stuff. And a couple of pictures from their truck push. They do this once a year. They do their big,
I'm not sure how often that happens.
they put the truck in the parking lot and time themselves in groups. They have a lot of fun with that. Zumba, just the info for our Zumba class, 3 days a week. Our numbers have been increasing decently in that drop-in recently, which has been great. And that's it. Obviously, that's not all of our programs, but just some highlights of the new pictures and stuff we had. So there you go.
When did you present this?
2 weeks ago?
Gosh, it was about 2 weeks ago.
I believe so, yep.
The Retired Businessmen's Club, they meet there once a month, I believe.
Yeah, I think they meet once a month, and it was Tuesday of 2 weeks ago.
Was there any sort of uptick in the senior strength after that?
I didn't see any new enrollees, actually. We encouraged them. It was funny because a few of them wanted to make donations to the rec department at that
We
right
did
at the
again,
time.
yeah.
They said next time we come, put in envelopes there where they can donate. So we'll take them up on that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a great idea for the scholarship fund.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they were asking, and so we gave them that option that, our scholarship fund does take donations if they're interested.
Well,
And then-
we do from time to time actually have a couple of anonymous parent groups that donate money to, they'll actually ask us to do specific name two children that could receive this $200 or $300 scholarship. And that happens periodically throughout the year too. So we do have a decent amount of philanthropists out there, looking to help the rec department out and thinking of us. Yeah.
Did they come to you, or did you go to them?
They came to us, actually. It was someone who's presented actually at our meetings, Bill Miley. Mr. Miley. He might be the president currently of that club, so he contacted us and asked if we could present there. So it was actually fantastic.
It was a lot of fun.
They sing a couple of songs before God Bless America we sang, and a couple others.
Yep.
Couple other renditions
great.
of songs, and it was actually quite fun. So
And they had really,
hopefully-
really positive feedback, and they even gave some like suggestions and asked questions and stuff. And they even mentioned potentially having the instructor for the senior weight training, maybe having him come to a future meeting and just give them some ideas of what they can do.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, because he did a presentation here, and he
It
was
was fun.
pretty passionate
Yeah.
about it too,
Yeah.
which is
He really is.
be good.
It was very cool.
we'll stay connected with their organization, and hopefully we can move them into participation.
Great, thanks, Allison.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, Public Works report. Do you have any of this info?
Well, I don't have Lower Libby restroom information. I was kind of hoping to. We do have our tennis tournament coming up the week after next, and so if I do get information on the Lower Libby restrooms, I will email you, because it would be nice to have something, doors on the stalls, or
Right.
raising the partitions in between those stalls would be nice.
And anything-
Just I think just even as a temporary fix, but
Right.
but I haven't. I was pushing Greg a little bit for some of that information, but he was off last week, and so I think he just had a lot on his plate this week. But when I do get that information, I'll just send that out as an informational email to everyone.
Thanks.
Yep. The Sarasota ball fields. I'll pass out this little photo. We've been working on our ball field 1. We had 25 tons of new dirt delivered yesterday, Wednesday.
And that's
That
the
was
one, that's the one,
yesterday.
that's the one's closest to Park Road.
It is. Yeah. So we had 25 tons of dirt delivered, and 4 of the staff were out there, mostly Jeff Graham and another Garrett Carlson were out there just spreading all that dirt over the last 2 days. You'll see them out there. In the photo that you see in the middle is actually the gym office upgrade. So we got new carpeting in there, new paint, and you don't see furniture in there yet. That'll be put in there tomorrow. So we've done a couple of nice upgrades to the facility. The field looks fantastic. When I went out there just before this meeting to check it out, and it was just, I don't want to be too dramatic about it, but there were just dips and mounds where where there shouldn't be.
Ground balls were
the only
dangerous.
mound there should be is the pitcher's mound, not all over the field. So they're much more level. But of course, I've been told that still could use more dirt on that field, but it was a huge improvement. Probably another 12 tons of dirt would probably finish off Field 1. And when the new fiscal year rolls around, we will do Field 2, because we've pretty much reached spent our budget on facility improvements. But as Mr. Livingston talked about, we've submitted our budget requests for fiscal year 16-17 already, and we've bumped up our facility maintenance budget because we realize it's too low where it stands, and in the end, if we spend 5,000, 6,000 more on recreation facility needs, it might take away from the end surplus budget, but you'll know that money for sure has been spent
Exactly.
at Sarasota in particular, but you'll know it's gone to
Where it should.
parks. Yeah.
Should go.
Yeah. So we're going to be bumping that facility maintenance budget up a bit. But again, the gym office was long overdue for an upgrade, and it's looking great. And again, we'll finish it off. We chose this week to do that upgrade because everyone's on break right now, and gymnastics had the week off.
Okay.
That's it on facility.
What about the
Or do you have any
hydration station?
questions? Oh, hydration station. I'm so glad you brought that up. So,
problem.
the water fountain up in the weight room was damaged beyond repair. Not, it was just wear and tear. So we had a plumber take a look at it. He said it was better to replace it. It costs just as much to repair it than it would be to replace it. So we're going to take the water fountain that's currently in front of the gym, move that to the weight room, and then put a hydration station out there, and a refrigerated one. Surprisingly, they're not much more than just a basic new refrigerated water fountain. They're probably $300-400 more to add the refillable water feature. So we're looking forward to using that as a sort of pilot program to see how well they work, what are the maintenance costs behind it, filter costs, so we'll see how that is. And eventually we've talked in-house about wanting to see them throughout the park too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Great idea.
We went to that Parks and Rec conference, and there were probably 6 or 7 different vendors there were no vendors with just water fountains. They were all water fountain, hydration station combinations.
Yeah.
Have you already ordered the one you're gonna get, or are you still deciding on?
We did order it.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
we ordered
Villanova
it.
just put one in. You could, I could see how.
We checked out Topa's.
Topa,
We
right.
went over to Topa's first to see. There really is only one major company that we know of right now. LK is they're the main manufacturer of these hydration stations, and
Of
there
the
are
style we were looking
of the
at,
style
yeah.
we were looking at, and they're
It has both the water bottle and the drinking fountain.
yeah.
Well, and it goes into the wall. A lot of them are the
Recessed.
pedestal ones. This one is one that's on the wall.
Yeah,
Villanova's is on the wall.
yeah.
Yeah. So again, we're trying this out as an experimental, and we'll
And they're
work from
working
there.
it, like Topa has them, I think a couple of the other, I think Nordhoff has at least one.
Yeah.
Those
I know they're
Do they
working
buy?
on one at,
Yeah, they have one in the gym. It's
Okay.
really nice.
and then I think Matilda has soon to get one as well, so they're working on the schools too. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, and on those on those stations, on the hydration station, when you refill your bottle, it
Say
I
bottle
guess
save.
it actually tells you how many, it just keeps tallying how many disposable
Right.
bottles have been saved when you refill yours. So it just shows that ticker up there and tallies up, what you're saving. So we're excited about getting that, and maybe again having them throughout, not only at Sarasota Park but other parks, because they are the green way to go. But it still has water fountain feature if you don't have your refill water. You can
No
still,
water
you can
unless
still
you're
get
wrong.
water.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. That's good news.
Yeah.
And it's good news about the ball fields, because
Yeah, I mean,
playing
we
shortstop out there a couple times, it's dangerous, man.
yeah.
That's-
So,
You need a little TLC.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. So
and
that's
we
good.
have 3 different nights of softball, so
Yeah.
we really need
Plenty of
to
use.
step up our game.
They're being used 5,
Yeah,
or
well,
they're being used 7 days a week, most weeks, by
Right, with
Pony
Pony
and softball, or girls softball, so.
it is long overdue. And we even talked about potentially, there's actually too much infield.
Right.
So it's beyond the regulation size, our infield. So we want to, I was talking with staff today about putting well, they don't probably call it AstroTurf anymore, but that's how I know it, putting that AstroTurf in the section of dirt that's beyond what it needs to be, instead of trying to reseed or sod, which will probably be, again, maintaining it's going to be costly.
Keeping people off it.
Yeah, so we're thinking maybe we go with a AstroTurf.
You said you brought in 25 tons of dirt. Is that all dirt that's been lost to runoff, or?
I think just really erosion, and especially on that field too. But
we haven't
again, with
put dirt
talking
on
with
it,
staff,
yeah.
it's just the, people playing on it, and then the dust, just blows off. It's just not erosion just from water, but just from physical
They bring it
use
home-
and
they bring it
blowing
home in
into
their
the grass.
shoes.
Yeah, exactly. The kids
It
take
just-
it
it just- yeah.
All over
Yeah.
right now, yeah.
They do.
You should see
I
our
know, I-
multi-purpose room when they come back from the playground. It's just
Yeah.
there's sand on the floor. So yeah, it's just water erosion, air.
Uh-huh.
It's all just gets eroded. And really, I don't remember the last time I've been there. Again, I always say the number. I always do that as the test. I've been with the rec for 13 years. I think this is the first time in my recollection. We may have had one other time where we've refilled those fields with ball field dirt.
And
It's been a long
it was just a couple of years or two that they worked on the drainage. They did a whole
Yes.
drainage project a couple of years ago, so
because we were having some real bad
Real-
runoff on,
yes.
especially on field
on one, it really was running off there for a while.
You just,
But
after a
outside
big
the-
rain, you'd see the.
But then they
dirt
work
all
on,
up-
they did some
outside the dugout.
French drains and different, I don't know what all it was, but they regraded and did some stuff to work on, that was what, 2-3 years ago maybe now? Maybe
Yeah,
longer?
Yeah.
it could be longer,
Okay.
but yeah, so that's helped a lot.
Did Pony Baseball help out with that at all, with the 25 tons?
They didn't. We got, Public Works came out with their backhoe and leveled off the field using the backhoe. And of course, once again, if you wanted to spend a little more money, you'd get a professional, help me out with a.
Level?
Yeah, some
Laser.
kind of, I don't know what the.
Like a laser level kind
Laser
of
level.
situation, yeah.
Using a laser level, having someone come out and do that instead of the eyeball.
And ultimately, like on our project list, we're hoping 17-18 to do something with this.
Well, if it's on
It's
that
on
list, I
there.
think it's on
It's
the
on
list.
there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's
We're
been an
talking
identified
about
project for a major overhaul.
This is a
Yeah.
bit of a Band-Aid
Right.
fix, but
Yeah.
yeah, as a capital, it's really
There's an
more of a
awareness that
capital
it's time.
improvement. Yeah.
And we did invite out some of our users to help us out, but we also got it delivered at 8 a.m. on a Wednesday morning, so it was,
Yeah.
we contacted them, but it
Yeah,
was
not
tough
the
for them to
greatest.
come out, so.
Yeah, we don't want to throw them under the bus.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would have been only more than willing if it
Yeah.
had been on a weekend.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Nope. Thanks. All right. Approval of minutes for the March 3rd meeting.
Anyone have any?
Have a motion or an issue?
I've got a couple.
Tell me.
So on where we talked about site 10,
Is that on page 2 of the minutes, or where are we?
I'm looking for the minutes.
Okay, it should
Yeah.
be right after.
All right.
Commissioner comments, number 10?
Yes, yeah, Commissioner comments, bottom of page
Okay.
2.
Okay.
I think our conclusion was that this wasn't a park, which was why we weren't going to bring it up here. That site 10 wasn't designated as a park, as a city park, so that it wasn't in our purview, which was kind of our conclusion from the discussion.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Because here it's just kind of like, we'll talk about it when the city
But so
council.
you'd like it to indicate that it wasn't considered a potential park? Is that what you're?
It's not a park at this time.
It's currently not a park.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that what the last sentence pretty much says? In other
So
words, it couldn't
doing
be
anything in
considered.
this area until the city council makes a final. Staff said it might be premature to discuss doing anything in this area until the city council makes a final decision on affordable housing sites.
And
You'd like it to, you think it should include, just for
I mean,
clarification.
if you read that first paragraph and then you read the second one, Mayor Blatt says there's no plan to move forward with anything. if I read this and didn't know, I would think, oh, well, now it's time for the Parks and Rec Commission to bring this up again, because the council's not going to do anything public housing on site
I
10.
think it's a point of clarification.
Yeah,
So,
It's not a park.
yeah.
okay, just something
And-
that simply, that it's currently not considered a park in the city.
Which is why we decided not to.
Talk about it.
To talk about it, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was on the item 11, City Council Liaison Report. Some of the, I think it's just a formatting thing, but some of the paragraphs, the first sentence doesn't really relate to the rest of the sentences in the paragraphs. It just seemed like it should
Sorry,
be-
which paragraph are you on?
Item 11, for example, the second paragraph, Mayor Blatz announced Steve McClary has been appointed acting city manager. That's the first sentence. Second sentence, he's meeting with the Bike Coalition at the proposed site.
Yeah.
Same with the
Maybe a
third
different
paragraph.
flow there, or a different, just start
break
a
it
whole
out.
new- Break it
Yeah.
out. Okay.
Likewise, the third paragraph.
Okay, we'll look those over and make sure that there's a better grammatical flow to it. I hear what you're saying. They're two completely different topics. I got you.
Same he, just different.
Yeah. I hope my mom's watching this.
Anything else from any
And
other?
your English teacher from, that's your English teacher from Western.
Well done, well done. Any other comments about the minutes? Do we have a motion?
I'll motion to,
Would you-
so I'm
oh,
gonna abstain,
okay.
actually.
I'll motion to adopt the meeting minutes of the March 3rd, 2016 meeting.
I'll second that.
I think you're supposed to be as amended, or is that?
Oh, excuse me, as amended. Can you
Okay.
amend my motion?
Would you like to, you go ahead and amend it?
Oh, amend my motion to reflect the changes that were made and amending the minutes.
I'll second that.
Do you want to just call for a vote?
Okay. Okay. Do we have a vote?
You can do it.
Yeah,
do a
you
voice.
can.
All
You
in
can
favor?
just-
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Unanimous.
Oh,
There you go.
And one abstain.
One abstain. I wasn't
It
present.
wasn't here.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Okay. Moving on, discussion items. Sarasota Park Master Plan update. Large part of the packet.
Yes, so you all received the Sarasota Master Plan map, or new, there was only a couple of changes actually from the previous. The ball field, we just wanted those lines to be, show the base paths. And then I don't believe even in the previous rendition, was the, I'm losing my train of thought, the over by the exercise stations on the south side of the park, we had the community gardens there, I think. And now those are just exercise stations over by there, but I'm not even sure that there were community gardens in that spot on our last version. The hitting wall basketball court is still there by the existing gym. So I think some of the things we need to do this evening are come to some conclusions on what we truly want. Do we want 2 futsal courts? Are we going to leave those there, but potentially know that it's only going to be one? Because I think that's what we talked about before, saying that yeah, we're putting 2 there, but maybe we'll just start out with 1 and see whether we need 2 or not. Are we going to truly put that zip line in the location that it's in, or are we going to have a zip line at all? These are just some of my thoughts on what we may have discussed in previous meetings.
I,
or
my recollection.
correct me-
Well, my
correct me if I'm
recollection
wrong.
is that we nixed the basketball next to the gym.
Next.
I think we decided that last time.
Did we?
That's my
didn't-
recollection of the meeting. It was very clear that that was
Well, it
the
says here
direction.
If we could use the foosball for futsal.
Futsal.
It's all
Or
for basketball.
basketball.
And that was
Then we-
pretty much confirmed that those uses can be done together. They gave examples and they've done the research. I don't think that, even from what I'm reading here, I think there's a lot of different ways to do it, but that it is doable. And I think what our question was, can it be done safely and can you accommodate both those sports? And the answers that I've heard are absolutely that we can.
Yeah.
And so I think that was the only question that was outstanding in my mind from our discussion.
Okay.
And I think the
I just
two is what
wanted to-
I think the two is what we want. If in the future we decide we don't want two, that's fine, but I don't think that's here. We're in the big picture idea, and I think the two is what we were talking about doing. But we were nixing the one next to the gym, that was clear. And I think when the community garden was nixed and added the exercise stations and picnic areas, is my recollection, where there were picnic areas added in there.
It looks like it is, I mean, the exercise stations are separate. Those are those gray semicircles. It does look like picnic, those squares.
Oh, mine says
Those
community
might
garden.
be-
But
Yours does?
do I have an old one?
The one in the packet that we got on the email
Oh, I have the wrong one.
is the
old
is
one.
the one
Okay,
that's
sorry.
soft
I
rock.
passed that one. That was a.
I was working off of what I had in my
Yeah,
email.
I did
The-
too.
May I look at yours?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Okay,
one.
so it does reflect the picnic
Yeah.
areas. Perfect, that's
The
good.
one that you have is, those look like just, to me, it isn't specified, but I would almost think those are just
Small picnic
picnic
areas.
tables.
Yeah, that's all that was supposed to be.
Just
Yeah.
picnic
For softball
tables.
days.
Yeah, not actual
And
like
it expanded
barbecue
the
or.
turf, like we discussed, and rotated the playgrounds up, which we also discussed. That's what we talked about. And, yeah, the only thing that's somehow the hitting wall basketball stayed in, and that, I think we nixed.
Okay, in reference to that, this brings back into play, CrossFit and,
I think we were very clear that there's no desire to change or get rid of CrossFit
No.
or to affect it, and that
more to my, it would be to expand. Like I think it would be nice to still have a hitting wall somewhere, even though we're removing the basketball court. I'm making an appeal to say a hitting wall would be nice.
okay, but I think to just, from what we worked on last time.
Yeah.
When this went away, there should be more turf in here.
Where,
Because that
where
was,
are you?
when we were taking out the basketball court and increasing the field area, grass, hill, turf, whatever you want to call it, meadow, so that there would be more area in there for programming as we use it now.
It should indicate the
Green.
the green in the turf area that will still exist.
Right.
But not to belabor the hitting wall point, but how does the commission feel
Well, I think
about
it's a separate point for me at this
Okay.
point, because I'd like to just make sure that the changes we already, or we're pursuing with the consultant happen.
Okay.
And that would be like that's a new thing, and I'm not
Okay.
saying,
No,
but
hear you.
I just want to make sure we're clear on what we asked for before and make sure that we get there, which is removing that basketball court
Sure.
and making sure that there's
Adding-
more turf, lawn, whatever you want to call it, so that there can be more programming in that area.
Okay.
And,
Well, as it currently
but
exists.
the change,
actually.
the change is there for the field, as it what?
As it currently exists.
Exactly.
It's already there. It's just not, it got removed because of the initial desire to have the basketball court there.
Right. But so long as this reflects the change.
Okay.
The question about, and this is just a matter of what we decide we want to do, because we did talk about the footprint of the existing building and the parking and changes to the parking based on adjusting it to fit the existing building. And we got feedback, which was good feedback, on the number of spaces. Those questions were answered.
Yes.
But I really think it would be good, well, to
Would you like to see another rendition of it with the way it would look?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the rest of the
I wanna-
commission feels that way,
yeah.
but
With the way what would look.
here's
Uh,
the
the
outline of
angle?
the
The
build, that's the
angle.
building.
Right, I know.
And so what would parking look like there if you were to accommodate the building? Whether you did it with diagonal parking or whether you did it with straight parking, how would that work?
Right. Well, my take on it is, it says here that if we did with the Boyd Center and angled
Right.
parking, you're only looking at 21 spaces,
And non-angled would be 29.
29. So I would think if we're gonna obviously leave the current Boyd Center, which that's the
For the near future, yes, right.
Yeah.
we go with the non-angled spaces, because then you should try to fit in as many parking spaces as possible, I would think.
But it looks like you wouldn't have about 9 of those spaces because of the footprint of the existing building.
Right.
Which is probably where that comes
Where they're
out.
taking that off.
Which I think is, it seems fine. I mean,
Is it,
I don't think losing parking spaces, just having an angled spot would make as much sense.
I'd be curious what it looks like, though, the non-angled part, that 29 spaces.
I think-
I would be curious what that looks like.
Well, I think what they're gonna do is just take one side, they're gonna remove them from one
I
side.
think you're right, yeah.
You're just instead of having it on
Just
two
gonna bump it out a
sides,
bit.
you'll have
Yeah.
parking on a single side, on the Park Road side. I mean, I don't,
Or take out part of the planter on next to Park Road there.
but even if they do that, they
And
will
they'll lose a few,
lose,
yeah.
yeah.
So,
Anyway, that might, if that's possible, to see like an alternate,
so you'd
to have
like
two,
to
to
see
have
that?
this one, this is the dream.
Mhm.
And then one that shows the building footprint very clearly defined with a solid line instead of a
Okay.
dashed line.
Yeah, it's
Like-
just showing that, because, I mean, you can tell, if you leave it alone, it's just gonna you're gonna go from 47 to 29.
Yeah.
Just, if you take
Just
in the
count.
dotted,
yeah, they're gonna
and
take
that's
out.
the way
So
I'm
you're
looking at it,
saying,
that's why I'm looking at this.
so you're saying leave the Boyd Center where it is
Here, basically.
and
Yeah.
push that parking lot out?
You know, I don't think you
Wanna
push
see
it
that.
out. I think
I don't-
what you do is
I
you
don't
just,
think they
leave it
did.
there.
you just lose the spots that are on the frontage. I think, right? I mean, that's,
Yeah, more than likely, because yeah.
You're just saying that we want a version that's going to show the parking lot with the Boyd Center. where
Current Boyd
current-
Center, because
okay.
obviously the new,
you could, I would
the
still like,
33,500 square foot community center is not in the near
Well,
future.
I don't even
I
take,
would say
don't even
that's
take that out. But in the other
No,
version, you
not
make
take
a
it out,
solid,
but-
you overlay the solid image, solid line
Mm-hmm.
of the existing facility and show what the parking would look like.
Look like, okay.
I would say, yeah, the parking lot's probably sooner than the new
Yeah.
community center, so.
I
And
hope
is that, say, does that, you want just this dashed line to be a solid line so we can see it more
Yeah.
clearly?
How would the
basically.
parking lot, how would they?
How would the parking lot-
redesign the Parking lot.
Be redesigned.
So
based
this
on-
would be, this would be
Is there
Plan A,
10
and that
million?
could be Plan B with alternate, like the
Yeah, because
alternate.
their $11
Yeah.
million price tag on the community centers a ways off.
Yes, I would agree.
It would give us, yeah, if we could just have a visual on both
Dr.
those.
Rudy.
Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah,
I'll
because
ask
the,
for that.
if I'm looking at the dotted line, you're still gonna have space between the parking lot and the building. I mean, the parking lot's not gonna go right up to
Right.
Right.
the building, and if that's what, so, that could be
There's one,
quite
I don't know how
quite a
many-
considerable.
it's at an angle, so there's the part that comes the farthest in is toward the north.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a straight
Well,
line.
again,
But-
and
Yeah, yes.
yeah,
Anyway, they could, I mean, it's not complicated, I don't think.
no, I'll ask for it, and I'm
Yeah.
sure they'll be able to produce that. We could keep going around, and we'll eventually get to shelters, I think, somewhere in the agenda, but at least timeline-wise. But before we do that, are we comfortable? I'll go back to the zip line, or would you rather tackle some of these questions that were answered about the futsal court? and
I
where do you-
like the
where do you
zip
wanna
line.
go?
I don't see any issues with it. They've come up with very safe equipment. They're clear on it. It's going in all over the place. The
And
playground consultants we talk with and at length, there's not a problem with it.
And we already nixed it out of Libby
Yeah.
when the kids asked for it. And
Where it goes exactly, I'm not as concerned with, so long as it's in the park and I want to see it in the plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that spot on the map currently.
It seems like
honestly.
a good spot. It's not in the middle of,
But,
yeah.
Yeah, and how it will look. And the turf hill, we're good with.
Yeah.
So it's very successful at Libby, so.
I wonder
Yeah,
if they can do it off the
definitely.
top of the turf hill.
A beloved area.
What's that? Alice?
I was just saying, I wonder if they can do the zip line off the top of the turf hill.
be interesting.
I don't know what,
It might get some cross traffic of turf hill and zip liners that might be more.
And different
dangerous.
age kids.
Yeah.
that's true.
That could be fun.
It could be
Yeah.
fun.
It would be, that's what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
but.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we leave the zip line.
And when we get to the preliminary estimates and costs, you receive that too in your packet. And I asked for some clarification specifically on the futsal courts, and he actually sent it.
I thought
'Cause
this was really helpful because it
Yeah.
broke out the playgrounds.
Yes, and he did, I asked for fencing, what it would cost for fencing and lights too, as well. I'm trying to find that. Oh, okay, so he sent it to me right before the meeting. You don't have it in yours. And then I asked for, if you go to page 2, for the multi-sport fields. On the original packet, you'll see, it says 6, on page, let's see if I can get
This is page
perspective.
3.
On page 3, it says, I didn't understand, it said 6 each it said basketball courts and football fields, 6. Each unit, $10,000. And I said, I'm not sure what that number is, and he actually just took it out. That $60,000 where it says, do you see that at the top of the page?
I don't see it at the top of the page, but in the,
Up
under
top
the
of
line
page
item.
3?
Yeah.
Top of page 3, it says 6 each, and then it said $10,000. I wasn't sure what that was.
Took it out.
He just quite literally took it out.
Should do that with a few other things.
Yes. So I guess my point is, it would be very helpful. I haven't looked over this in complete detail either, but because the basketball courts and futsal courts are something that might be first on the list of things we're trying to get accomplished
Yeah.
in relation to the capital improvement plan. I just zoomed in on that, and then asked him also to include lights for the futsal courts and fencing and what that would cost. So if you go to page, so just on your copy, you can just cross out that 6, where it says 6 each at $10,000.
Or put a question mark and you'll follow up
Yeah,
next time and tell us.
I will. He just took it out, and then I didn't have time to respond to say, what was that originally? I don't know what it was, but they, obviously dramatically reduced the bottom line from 184,000 when he took that out to 136. Then that math doesn't even quite calculate out. So I'll get some more clarification on that, but it just brought home the point that we all need to look at these numbers closely, and it would be helpful, and if you see some discrepancies like that, to just shoot me an email so I can pass that information on to him.
I was going to ask, is concrete the appropriate material for the surface for?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is, for a basketball court,
Yeah, okay.
definitely. Yeah. You don't want to use blacktop. It's
Mhm.
just not good fun.
Well, I can see what he's done. I think he's taken it out because it shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it.
It doesn't, they made a mistake by putting it in there.
Yeah, I think that's what I
it was
think
left
too.
over
I
from the
think it
last
was
estimate he did, and they didn't take out that line.
something.
Because
Yeah.
if you look at everything
says
else, it would
6
add up to what you'd need to put in, I would think, a basketball
Yeah.
court.
Basketball,
Well,
And
all
foot-
the,
because he gives other
you got the
basketball
concrete,
numbers
you
up
got the
top.
paint, you got the striping and the paints, and then you've got the hardware.
Yeah, he's got two different, there's a basketball court, basketball up top where it talks about how much the pole and the backboard are gonna cost, the surface paint and striping, and then it says basketball and futsal fields for each at 10,000. So it talks about 4 of them there too, which also seems a bit.
Yeah.
Is
odd to
that's
me.
for the single court that was gonna go next to the gym, isn't it?
if that's true,
That's what I thought that was, and then the second one was for the two
well,
courts.
if,
Yeah.
okay.
And then that would be double, it is basically double the one.
Yeah, it looks like the 91 is for.
When
the
it says, so when you're saying it says 4, where it says basketball and futsal fields 4, you're considering that, or what you're
Well,
thinking
if you
it
go to
means?
if you go to the beginning of basketball,
Uh-huh.
it has 2 backboards, 2 hoops, 2 nets. I'm not totally clear,
No,
but the
no,
way I
okay.
understood it was, is that this is the single basketball court with something at each end. I don't understand the breakdown totally. That would be great to get clarification. So that came out at 91,000, and then to do 2 came out at 184. I don't, clarification on what that cost is in both of those would be great, but
Yeah,
But what I read was there's a basketball court in this estimate, which is still in the plan, which will come out of the plan.
And then
And then there are
there's
the 2 courts,
and then there's the multi,
the 2 court
yeah.
situation.
think
I
the
guess it just
91,000
kind of confused a little bit, because within the just the basketball court, it shows futsal fields.
Yeah.
The cost may be the same whether you're doing the either or. I think it's just a matter of clarifying. You want to know why it's $10,000 and what each of those $10,000 items is providing you with. That's
Yes.
what we need to know.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
And my understanding is we were going to do a basketball court and then 2 multi-sport courts, which are the futsal,
Right.
basketball.
But now that's not right.
But we're
we
nixing
would
the
just-
one basketball, and then we just need clarification on the expenses for the 2 futsal basketball courts and have them explain, break the cost down and explain it to you so you understand.
Yeah. Yes. And then just for your information, so for lighting and electrical on page 3, do you guys have that on yours? It just talks about the security, close to second from the bottom. It talks about the security walkway lights and that cost, and the conduit and conductor and miscellaneous items. I'm not quite sure. We'll just roll with that for now. But so I asked for the futsal and basketball lights, and he put that at 75,000. So, but again, it had quantity 10, so I'm assuming it just means 10
Standards.
stanchions. Yeah, standards up there, and 10 of them at 7,500 each. But I don't see where he talked about, I don't know if you guys see it on there, the fencing around it.
No.
And I think these are the kinds of details that when we get to it, we're going to have to flesh out. I mean, how much fencing are we going to need? Are we doing a solid middle? Are we doing fencing all the way around?
I thought he added it in here. I didn't highlight it on the newest version, but he did.
In one of the iterations, there was
Must have put it
fencing.
in an email or something, but there is.
Okay.
In accounting for fencing, and he did like a 4-foot. You won't see it on yours. I'm trying to find, sorry. Oh, there it is.
A different version.
Sorry, page 2. Where it says multi-sports fields you can add in, or I can send to you. It talks about the perimeter fencing at 4 feet. 12, it's gonna be $12,000. I won't give you all the unit cost is $25, that 480. I don't know, they're kind of vague numbers, but anyway, he's got it at $12,000 for 4-foot fencing.
Okay.
But I do think we just need more details personally on some of these numbers, which I'll try to get to you.
Yeah, I think I mean, when you have a conversation with them, it'll either make sense or it won't, and
Yeah.
you'll have follow-up questions.
Yeah, and as you know, Mr. McClary, up until this point, has been
The contact
the
person.
main contact person for him, and that shifted over to myself, so I will be in contact with Tim as much as I can to get more definition.
When you have him do these changes to the expenses, can you have him do parking improvements A and parking improvements B for costs? One that would include, right now, it's the plan as it sits, as it's on the plan. Can you have him do another option that would match the alternative plan they're gonna do that would accommodate the existing building?
Okay, yeah,
So that we would have an expense for what the parking project would be if we were to take it on and not have changes to the building.
okay.
And that would be good, because that's more likely to
Sure,
happen in the near future.
It'll change costs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of these costs are a little inflated. And it seems like there's definitely a wish list of stuff on here. I mean, $50,000 for every single exercise station. Play
Yeah.
area lights for the water play, which, anyways.
Well, it's to give
I
us
know
a general
It gives us a good
idea.
idea, and I think it's always best to plan high, but I do think that they are definitely inflated, which is not the worst thing.
Yeah,
To start high, and then if it comes in under cost, that's even better. But
but when we're trying to have a legitimate capital improvement budget,
Right.
and where are we going forward, what we're going to tackle first or second or prioritize, it will maybe affect some of our decisions if we don't have a little more accuracy in numbers.
I think it's like anything that we begin and start, if we are looking seriously at it and trying to
Right.
place it, we go to Greg, and we go, Greg, here are the numbers we have, can you help us refine these numbers?
yeah, or
Because
what
they're
do we
just a
need to pull
picture,
out? Like,
they're
do
also
we
just
need
a
to pull
picture
out
today.
the rubber matting out of every single playground that's on
Right.
here,
Yeah.
So stuff like that. But yeah,
Well, in your concerns, and you probably all have some concerns about these numbers. You can always send an email to me to say,
Yeah.
hey, ask him about this, or, feel free to contact me so I can ask those questions to him.
course.
How did you come up with that number for the water playground, or the
Yeah.
lights for the water playground? Did you look to other cities, or is that something that you've done in another city and that's what it cost them?
of course.
I'm assuming some of those numbers are based on other projects that they've been involved in.
Yeah, I would hope so.
I mean, there's costing software. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not just pulling this out of nowhere. They use packages of, they use in their firms packages to cost out this stuff with general costs that are averaging out. They do it in architecture and engineering and all these different things. So
Okay.
they're not just creating them, they're pulling them from,
Some
they have
other
sources for
experience.
this. Yeah, well, yeah, there definitely are, I would say computer programs out there that do all this, and they use those to calculate their expenses. But specific questions, like on the futsal, like why 6, why 10, why 4 at 10,000?
he
What
pulled
is
it-
that? Great.
Actually pulled both those out.
And I think I
right.
would definitely go back and
Yeah,
go,
he
explain
just-
that to me.
Yeah, like
Help
what
me
were they-
understand.
How'd you just yank them out?
How did you
Yeah.
take 60,000 out of that project?
'Cause as I said, I didn't go over all of the numbers, but only that one, because again,
It seems, yeah.
Yeah.
on the capital improvement plan, I'm hoping that's the first thing, and as it pertains, the capital improvement plan, as it pertains to the master plan, I'm hoping there's a movement toward that being the first element that goes in. The basketball court, we've been talking about an outdoor basketball court for a little while.
A while.
So,
Since I've been here.
well, shelters will be first, I guess, but then-
They're on their way.
and then where are we in funding for that? And that's where Mr. Livingston will come in.
Well, so I think.
Any other?
The
yeah.
big changes are an alternate showing the existing building with a different parking plan. Removal of the court behind the gym, adding turf there.
Okay,
Um,
got that.
that's really, that's it as far
Okay.
as the design layout. And then the details to the costing. Was there anything else?
Okay.
So Sophocles, it seems like you were interested in a hitting wall.
Exactly.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, I certainly wouldn't want to hold up the master plan based on that. Yeah, I appreciate you going back to that. In the big scope of things, that could probably be dropped in
Well, actually,
somewhere in that within the master plan, or near where we were going to put the original basketball court. and
What is a
that
hitting,
would
a
look
hitting
like.
wall requires a concrete, it needs a solid wall and concrete.
And concrete beyond it, yeah, but nothing to the degree that a full basketball court would require.
Well, I
So
think-
it could go in that same footprint where the basketball court is, and it wouldn't take up near the amount of space, and
And
I don't know what an average hitting wall size looks like.
I think it'd be good to do that with CrossFit, you know, take out the basketball court that's there, and obviously CrossFit has a little bit smaller of a space there, and the hitting wall next to it, with that concrete space that could potentially be like dual use for CrossFit and the hitting wall.
Would we like,
Because it doesn't even show like the CrossFit,
Right.
Current.
current CrossFit area on there. Maybe
Right.
it would be nice to,
well, so why don't you ask him to, because it basically is right, I mean, you know where it is
Right
in the
there,
corner of
yeah.
the gym, right over there. Add that
it
in.
is, yeah, it's
Ask him if
essentially
he can represent it
there.
on the
Yeah.
design.
So it effectively,
It'll be in the middle of a building.
that wall,
It will be in the middle of the community, the large community center, but we'll ask for, in that other version of the Boyd Center being solidly drawn out, we'll ask for CrossFit to be the same.
That's a good idea.
so effectively it's the east wall of the existing gym would be CrossFit plus hitting wall, where it's
Yes.
mostly basketball court right now.
Yes, and it will be adjacent to where we'll show CrossFit.
Yeah.
And so you'll see it in that sort of, without the 34,000 square foot community center, we'll see it in that other version without the 30. It would be nice to see, remove the 33,500 square foot community center and see what it looks like without it.
I don't think we're removing
Maybe.
it. We're
Well,
not
no.
removing it. It's part of the
Okay.
plan.
I mean,
But we can overlay the things we want
Overlay it.
onto it.
Okay, we'll
Right.
say overlay it.
And we have,
Sorry,
I mean,
remove it.
we have the
Overlay it.
outline, we're asking for it in bolder.
Like a solid outline of the
So,
existing
yeah,
building.
so we'll have a good sense of existing and proposed buildings.
Yes,
So
okay,
I think that'd be good.
Seems like we get it both ways that way.
okay.
So, at the city council meeting last month where they talked about the bike park, we got a request to consider putting a bike park in the Sarzati master plan. I don't know if this is the time to talk about it.
I'm not sure, maybe we could agendize when we get to that.
Well, we're talking
place,
about the
we
master
could,
plan right now.
Yes.
And that is an element in a master plan. I don't know that it needs to be separately
Well,
agendized.
we can bat it around if you'd like.
I think
I
we
heard,
should-
I saw the same thing
Yeah.
too. It was, it was a single, maybe.
It was
couple
requested to
people,
look at
single
Sarzoti
request
as an
to look
option.
at it as an option.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, and if we did?
I don't think there's room. This is a highly utilized, intense recreation area with fields and everything else, and I look at this plan, and there's nowhere in there that would make sense to put in a bike park.
Nor do I think it's
An appropriate.
an appropriate location.
Yeah.
It's not near the bike path. Kids would have to go down Ojai Avenue, cross Ojai Avenue.
But there's no room. If you look at this
That's-
plan that we've
that's my
worked on.
opinion.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you do it, let's just scrap this and start over again.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
That's what you'd have to do.
It hasn't been part of the
Which is- If
process.
that's an option you want to look at, then we can
And
look at it.
We've
but
had
that's-
public involvement, and it wasn't something that came up as a recommended use for this location or a request.
Yeah, if you look at the current plan, what are you willing to just remove? You're gonna have to remove futsal courts or the zip line or the group picnic areas. Unfortunately, it isn't a huge, Sarazoti's a good sized space, but it's not huge, big
Well,
enough
and I
to.
think
to-
We've identified Sarasota as a particular type of park, just as we did with Libby Park when we discussed the playground and the water park and everything else that we talked about with with Libby. I think we've identified Sarasota as a certain style of park, and I don't think that the bike park fits in there.
If it was as big as Kimball,
Exactly.
Ventura and there's large swaths
Now
of
we're talking.
empty land, I think it wouldn't be,
Yeah.
everyone would be like, yeah, that would be a great idea, but it's not that size.
We-
And there is
yeah,
an
we
empty
would-
space, and
We were
there's,
just there, as a matter of fact, and they have
They put in a bike park.
they put in a bike.
They're
they have-
removing a bike park,
they are-
actually.
They're moving it.
but it's a very different kind of bike
It
park.
is, it's a.
Totally different.
It's a BMX.
It's a racing.
It's a racing
It was a
BMX
facility
facility,
that
but
was
they are,
being used,
but they are
and-
removing it.
But it was managed by an outside company. It's a very different model than what we're talking about here.
Yes.
But I mean,
But
from
it-
the sense of Kimball and that huge space, and they have open dirt and great. And I think if Sarzodi were larger, sure, but it's not larger. And I don't, and we've gone through this process very thoughtfully and invited the public in and had discussions, and it doesn't fit. And I don't think it's a
I think
compatible use.
And I think it would be foolish for us to scrap all the work
Yeah.
we've done to try to put in a bike park now at this point.
Yeah,
So-
it almost seems like it should be in a place of its own, but much like the skate park is.
And wouldn't it be nice if it were next to the skate park? Yes, and I think the same thing happened when the skate park came up. There was a lot of, well, let's just put it in Sarzodi, and I understand that from the perspective of it's a park and it's there, it seems like a great idea, but when you take a deeper look, like we've been doing, you realize that there isn't that much space, and there are a lot of different uses there to serve all the different users. Yeah.
Is the space by
do you
lower
have a-
courts for the bike park, is that not an option,
So-
or is it just not moving?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
The spot for the proposed bicycle park next to the bike trail, is that out of question now, or?
No, not
Okay.
at all.
No.
We're gonna get
And
to
we do have
that.
a bike park
We
update.
we do have a
Okay.
bike park update, and I'm sure Commissioner Firestone
Okay.
can speak to some of it, and I can speak.
It was just a
to
question
little
at
bit.
the, one meet, to
at
be
the last
proposed
city
as well,
council.
okay.
Yeah, it did, so
I agree that it would
we'll
be
talk
out of
about the bike park
spot.
update
Okay.
and where that stands currently. But it's true, in that city council meeting, there
It
was
was
some
proposed as an
suggestions
idea.
of
I see.
why not Sarasota
There was a
Park?
recommendation to have that discussed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I mean, I'm not advocating for it. I agree with everything that's been said, but it does seem like we should have kind of a proper response, because I got the feeling from the city council meeting, from, I believe, Mr. McClary, as well as some of the council members, that, we would consider an alternate draft master plan with the bike park in it. So if we're not doing that, I think we should have a nice tight reply for why that is.
Okay. Well, I think some of the arguments you heard
I agree
just
with
now were
the space and.
lack of space. It isn't easier. I think, quite honestly, the access is easier to where the proposed bike park
Agreed.
is being recommended. And it is, I think, nicer to have it on its own, in and of itself, rather than intertwined with a softball field or
Yeah.
and other
So is it-
elements like
so-
that. They're not, as Commissioner Ender pointed out, it's not really compatible with the uses that are currently out at that park.
Well, I've got, when Community Works Design Group, they went out and, I mean, they got information, they gathered information to put this together. Was a bike park part of, and then it had to be.
It was.
First of
It
all.
was, yeah.
And then they must have looked at it and said, so they would have the rationale behind why it doesn't fit here.
I think we gave them the direction to
Yeah,
not.
it was
consider
one of the original ideas was put it up top, top right, where the futsal
Right.
multi-sport fields currently are. And we decided, it was our direction not to put it there for those reasons that we stated. It just doesn't seem to fit there. Accessibility for the kids riding their bikes, and that the proposed location by Lower Libby was better suited for it. Because Sarazoti was one of them. The lot next to the fire station out by Soul Park was the other one. And I think there were a couple other.
And the school district
The school
at one
district
point.
was the other one.
Yeah, it
So-
wasn't without it being proposed. It was at some point
It came up
included
even
in the discussion.
at the public meeting when people were making designs on the wall.
Yes.
you know, and going through that whole process. But as it came out of that, it didn't, my recollection is it didn't really make the cut, trying to put all the pieces into the park. And that would be interesting to go back to the consultant and talk to them about it, but that was part of it.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like we've, the vision that we're going for is kind of very broad appeal for different age groups. And so, you know, that the trade-off was basketball courts and futsal versus a bike park in that corner.
Right, and if you could, I guess you could make an argument to say, well, no, we're not gonna put the futsal and basketball courts there, we're gonna put a bike park there. Then we're back to, again, square one of
But- and I think-
where we have where do we put a futsal court, where do we put a basketball court, and, but more importantly, is that the best place to put bike park in this kind of mixed-use
Right.
area with, again, other multi-sport.
Yeah, and if you're going to put, if it's a matter of, if it's a question of like, well, where do, you know, basketball, futsal go then versus where does bike park go? I
Right.
think it's easier to separate the bike park and put it somewhere else than to say, well, we're going to put these basketball courts.
Well, and the other thing is the basketball works with the programming.
Right.
And that was another thing, that when we were thinking about this,
Yes.
you need the basketball courts for the programming through the recreation department, and this is the rec hub, and the programming happens here, and the kids are here for those programs. And so this is something you program.
Yeah.
You will program it for basketball, and in all likelihood, they'll program it for futsal as that
For
goes
soccer
forward. I think
programs,
that's the goal that they're looking for, is to have the ability to do that, which is very different than the bike park.
Yeah, and if, as you said, if we had the Kimball space, we were,
No
Allison
problem.
and I were just out there last week and envious of
The space.
all
So
the
big.
space.
It's pretty amazing.
It's amazing, the amount of space they had there, and, yeah, then it would be an easy decision, because, and that was really separate. What, you know, they had so much space, it was completely away from any of the softball fields or,
Yeah.
we didn't even know it was there, that's how far.
And when
away.
they
There's a
did that,
coyote running through
there's
it.
already a plan, even at Kimball, there's already a plan for that area for fields and other things. They have a long-term plan to
yeah.
develop
Yeah,
that.
they also-
Even
Which is
when
why
they
they're
did it,
flattening
it was
it.
a matter of not having funding and work, you know, it was, you know, they have a very specific plan for that whole park as they come into funding and are able to build it out.
So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's fair to say that the commission's recommendation would be not, that a bike park does not fit in the current Sarasota master plan that is being proposed by Community Works.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for bringing that up, though. Sure.
Yeah,
At least
that's
we have
fine.
the discussion.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on the Sarasota master plan? Nope.
Or questions that you had
Questions?
from the previous.
Did you want to bring up the
Awesome.
teen area
Oh.
stuff, please?
Yeah, that would be good.
Seems-
When we did go to a Park and Rec Commission conference. and-
CPRS.
CPRS, well, what did I say, Park and Rec Commission?
Yeah.
Yeah, CPRS conference, California Park and Rec Society conference. They had some really, these concrete elements of we thought immediately of the teen area, that these elements might go in there. They were, it was concrete ping pong table, concrete cornhole game, and these concrete tables that had chess sets. I'm going to pass a few of those photos around just so you can see what was offered, and they were actually reasonably priced too. I think the concrete ping pong table was maybe like $1,200.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
The concrete cornhole was
$850.
$850. So just
You can do them like customized, like they'll engrave like the city logo and stuff on it. They're really nice looking, and they're really sturdy, and you can get them made to resist like graffiti and that kind of thing. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, who doesn't want to play ping pong under smoke trees, you know,
Yeah.
out in a park?
So we were just, again, thinking of that for the teen area, but that wouldn't
Yeah.
necessarily be, have to wait for the teen area to be completely built. We were thinking,
Right.
put down some DG and
At that
Place
cost
a
point,
couple of
it's
these-
a doable
a couple of
addition.
those items
Yeah.
where we
definitely.
proposed the teen area to go. So they were, I thought, relatively inexpensive items that could be put in that proposed teen area.
Be interesting.
Well in advance of the full-blown teen area.
Well, and it's interesting too, like the chess and checkers table those could be picnic areas on the side.
Yeah.
Those small, I mean, that's just another way
Yeah.
to.
I feel like I might have seen these at the Ventura County building. They have a couple of the chess tables.
I've seen them around, yeah, the outdoor tables that have the built-in
dual
chess
purpose.
checkers, yeah.
I've used one of those before.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool stuff.
All right. Anything else for Sarasota? It's off?
No.
Good. Allison?
Nope.
All right. 9B technically, commissioner assignments and committee appointments. I know we keep waiting for a full commission. You go over
Yeah.
this. And again, Commissioner Roddick's not here tonight now. Do we want to, has anybody given any thought to any of these?
I think Robert's really good on facilities.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he could just stay
Do it
where,
without him.
where
He
he
could stay
is.
there. I personally don't think that we need an office person assigned. I think everybody on this commission should be stopping by the office at any given time.
I think
And
that's
you
fine.
can stop and say hi to Allison and Soph and the whole crew. But I think it's good to stop by there personally. I don't think we need somebody assigned to do it. And I kind of feel like, to be honest, summer programs, this is just, I don't know why we single out a particular season, especially as busy as Parks and Rec is throughout the year.
Well, 'cause
I'm
what if
guessing
you
that's
put-
meaning camps.
What if you
Right.
put summer programs and classes together and it was a year long?
That seems.
what you're thinking
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would say if.
I think, yeah.
Classes/camps.
Camps.
Yeah. Or,
Sure,
yeah.
we could do
Stop
that.
in.
Okay, so that's,
But being one, and you,
Yeah,
Just
be
feels
one
like,
person.
I don't, we shouldn't separate out one season.
That makes
Sure.
sense.
We're busy enough, or you
Yeah.
guys, I should say, are busy enough down there. That
that's fine. We could, one commissioner could take that on, and if you were putting it all together, that would include aquatics, which is, just a 6-week program. So if you assigned a commissioner, aquatics, they would only
Right.
be really
exactly. That's
6 weeks out of the year, that's all they,
That's where I was going with it. Is
Yeah.
the same way. I think we shouldn't single out certain seasons or
Okay,
programs. It
right.
should be,
so classes.
or if we want to assign 2 commissioners to classes and camps, that's
Yes,
fine too.
yes.
Because that could be an awful lot.
so
But
classes,
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 camps,
camps, and
and
Camps and
aquatics.
aquatics really should
I
be
think it should just be
one.
all
One,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because we really don't offer many classes during the summer,
Right.
Right.
other than camps and aquatics, so
replace-
it makes
yeah.
sense, yeah, they're the same thing.
And you, as Commissioner Dutter said, or Chair Dutter, you could put assign 2
I would
commissioners to
support that, yeah. It seems like there's enough going on that it'd be nice to have more than one person.
Exactly. I mean, and everybody's got stuff to do, I know, outside of this, but it would be nice to have, maybe a couple people checking in
Yeah.
on different days too, people are free on different days, so,
Sports leagues seem good to have their own,
yeah,
because that's a unique.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree.
We can keep, yeah.
Mm.
And I think some of the other stuff on there, the Libby Bowl is
Becoming
super-
its own.
Becoming its own, but definitely important to have, I think, a Parks and Rec voice there.
Uh-huh. Well, and it's set up, it's been adopted that way.
Yeah,
As the
which is
format
good.
for the
As-
membership.
yeah.
It's,
Which is nice to see.
yes.
Bike park, I think we assigned that, and Ryan took that, Commissioner Firestone took that on, which is great.
And Libby Bowl goes down to committee appointments, because it's an appointment
Right.
to an outside committee, so that moves to the other list.
I think,
Yes.
and with bike park and complete streets.
Yeah, both
Yeah.
of those could go there too.
As one? Is that
No,
what you're-
No.
Sorry.
appointments to existing
Oh,
committees
appointments, okay.
versus
I-
assignments.
I
It's a
thought
little
there-
different.
Okay, and I thought there was even going to be some, there was discussion about whether that was necessary,
Which was,
the complete streets, having someone
it's not
on
a
the-
mandate,
someone on the
but I think it's a
parks
good idea to
being
have
on
someone
the
on there.
complete streets, but
I
Yeah.
do
I
think
do,
it's,
Yeah.
I wouldn't disagree.
I think
mean,
we
it
should
seems
appoint
like-
someone to that.
going to talk
agree.
about how people get around the city.
Yeah, definitely.
And get to parks.
So we're moving Libby, the Libby Bowl
Libby
Committee
Bike Park.
down, and we're moving the Complete Streets down, and we're moving the Bike Park, all under committee appointments.
Correct.
So the only thing we have under commissioner we only have 4 things under commissioner assignments.
And we're combining those.
So yeah, we have facilities, classes, camps, aquatics, gymnastics, and sports leagues, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so now we put names next to things.
Yes. Well, and then you're going to do appointments, or is that already? Is
The
what
committee
is what-
appointments, we have the facilities committee, the naming committee is vacant, the playground committee could pretty much be turned into Sarasota, correct? Me if I'm wrong. Now that-
Well, that's the next iteration.
Yeah. But.
It's still
I
the
mean,
playground committee.
Right.
It's gonna move on.
It's gonna move on, exactly, so. But I mean, the.
The naming committee, whether we even add anything to that, depends on staff's ability to work on that and desire to put that into their
Right.
workload. I don't think there's any need to appoint anyone if that's not something that's gonna be on the radar. I think when staff's ready to hit it again, then look for appointments.
Yeah, it was Steve and I. Steve had been working on it and kind of handed it to me, and I hadn't gotten a chance to pick
Things
it
are-
up, so
It's been very busy.
it's not up right now.
It's not on the front
It's not
burner,
picked
it's on
up
the
right,
back
it's
burner.
on the back burner.
Okay, and that's fine, so I don't know
But
that
do
we need to
want
appoint anybody.
We don't have to at this point,
I
but
think the naming.
We can bring it
committee
back to you guys when we get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe we wait till after summer for the naming committee. After the summer
Makes
sense.
chaos of camps and everything.
yeah, I wouldn't put
Does
it
that
on
work
a top
for-
priority.
Does that work for your schedule a little bit better as well?
Yep.
Kind of?
So we need to,
If you don't want to see it move forward and push forward, then
No.
we,
I don't think it's a top priority for us
I
right
don't
now.
think it's
It's
top
not a-
priority. I think there's a lot
yeah.
of other things, and I think we wait till maybe after summer, fall. Anybody have objections to
No, that
that?
sounds right.
What is the naming committee?
it is,
It's a great question.
What would it be?
Well,
was when someone approaches the city to want to put a memorial picnic bench in Libby Park, what's the process?
what's the policy?
We don't
and the
have a
process?
policy or a process for
Right.
someone to currently do that. It's just. It's
Case
pretty
by
ra-
case.
It's case by case right now. And so we're trying to establish a policy of.
Formalize the
whether you
process.
Formalize a policy to name buildings, to accept memorials
Yeah.
and plaques and benches and trees.
Quite a bit of
and-
work has been done. They went and
Yes.
looked at other examples from other municipalities, cities, agencies, and had compiled some stuff together. I think Robert was on it.
Yeah,
and-
Robert, Steve, and myself.
And then someone who's not on the commission
Oh,
anymore. who
right.
was-
Austin.
Austin.
Austin was on it, yeah.
Austin was on it too.
And so it would be bringing it back, looking at it again, starting those discussions over and just making sure it's,
Got
going
it.
to work for the city.
So it seems like when you guys have bandwidth or you're ready to get back into it, then that's when.
Yeah,
That
We-
makes sense.
sometime after summer.
We have, under commissioner assignments, we have facilities, and then we have the facilities committee.
Yeah.
Do you want to, under commissioner assignments, do you want to do grounds and, buildings and grounds? Because I think that's what Robert's looking at.
Yeah, he does. He does.
So should we rename it, so
Yeah.
that there aren't two things saying the same thing?
Works.
So
Buildings
instead
and
of calling
grounds?
it Facilities Committee, we're calling it,
No.
Well, one is
Sorry.
one's an
Commissioner
appointment,
assign-
and the other is an assignment. The assignment will be buildings and grounds.
Yeah. For
Okay.
Commissioner Roddick.
okay,
So that's more of existing facilities, maintenance, that kind of stuff, as opposed
Which I know
to
is-
future.
Okay.
I know that is exactly what he's doing.
Yeah,
yes, he is.
Which is great.
and he's great at
And
it.
he,
Exactly.
and his name goes back on that, that assignment.
Okay, and Facilities Committee then would be,
Same.
right, but
Oh.
what is it, because we've talked about the Sarasota Master Plan, how is that
It's a standing
different
committee
than
that
the
we've
Facilities
used.
Committee,
It came out of that.
Yeah.
The beginning of
Yeah.
that discussion happened with that. That
Sure.
committee is a standing committee that's addressed a variety of different things.
okay, but in relation to then now the Playground Committee, how would that?
We have a separate one that we pulled out to do
Right, to
playgrounds.
do playgrounds,
Which makes
but-
sense, because
Right, I agree, are we keeping that?
Yeah. Because Sarzoti's down the line, I don't think the plan and the intent is to move forward and put a playground in Sarzoti, and I think
Sure.
we keep moving.
Keep that
Yeah.
playground on there.
It keeps it on the forefront, I think, too.
Okay.
Because you don't just do it in
Yeah.
one year,
No,
as
I
we
know.
know.
I know.
There's a lot that goes into getting
Yeah.
that rolling and up and going
Okay.
ahead of the build itself, however we decide to do that.
And you are planning on staying, both of you planning on staying on those
I'm
committees?
happy to.
Definitely.
Okay.
So,
Make sure that zip line gets put in.
that's right, that zip line doesn't fall off
And
the.
that splash pad.
So do we want to go through assignments first and then work our way
Sure.
down?
Okay.
So we've got, however we're wording it, classes,
Classes,
summer and
summer-
summer programs and aquatics,
aquatics,
all
yes.
as one, and maybe 2 or 3 people,
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
yeah,
and then we ask who wants to do it.
Yes.
yeah, that sounds good.
I'll do it.
Maya's interested, so there's one.
Okay.
So we're looking for 2 more.
Well,
Sorry,
you were originally on there.
I'm happy to
Right.
not be on there.
Okay.
You have-
I have a lot of other
have a
ones.
couple- you have a couple
I'm
others.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
okay.
could do it.
So Ryan and Maya.
Okay.
So we're looking for
And
one more.
I'm happy to jump in on that as well. Ryan.
Okay.
Okay, so Ryan,
Commissioner
Maya,
Firestone?
and Adam.
Yeah,
Got it.
perfect.
And to just be for clarification, this isn't something that'll have a specific meeting time. This is something any of us can
Yeah.
talk to you about if you want to do it with us at first. It's
Yeah.
just going and observing and talking to people and getting to know what's going on in the facility at different times, so.
Yeah, definitely.
Site visits for,
So next sports leagues?
Sports leagues, Commissioner Ford, are you-
Well, my term ends next month and I'm not reapplying, so
Okay.
if we want to put.
so we can do
I
it
can-
unassigned, or?
You can assign me to anything, and then whoever comes in, they've got it.
Well, I would rather do sports leagues than classes, camps, and aquatics. to be
Okay, then
honest
put
with you.
yourself on there.
I'll go do the classes. I'm interested in aquatics.
okay.
Perfect.
All right, so we'll we'll replace then, Brian in place of Adam there.
And then sports leagues, we'll just leave your name on it until you're not here.
It's fine. I watched the finals of basketball. It was pretty exciting.
That's cool.
How about gymnastics?
So that's with.
Gymnastics,
Oh.
do we,
Gymnastics has some particularly specific needs.
Yeah.
I think it's a
Yeah.
good one to have a commissioner looking in on.
okay,
It's different than a lot of the other programs. Its funding mechanism is a little different than the other
And
programs.
It is, and
And
it's
it's-
year round.
It's year-round,
It's
and it's a
big.
big program.
Well, I guess you can keep tennis as sports leagues, classes. Tennis falls in its
Yeah,
own
it could go
unique
either way.
category too. Because tennis
I think
is
gymnastics.
too-
I think having gymnastics on its own is good.
Yeah, it's fine. Classes and tennis are both sports leagues and
Is anyone
classes.
interested in
It's not even-
gymnastics?
Yeah. Yeah,
Unless nobody wants to
We can leave
volunteer,
it
then we can
open
put it under
too, because we'll have another person.
yeah. Let's leave it open for now.
Okay,
I
So
don't mind
sports-
checking in on them as well.
okay. And then buildings and grounds is covered.
I'm sure I'll be there this summer anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we
Naming.
might- You never know.
Naming, we're not worrying about.
No.
I'm happy to stay on the playground committee, and I'm happy to stay on the facilities committee, but if anyone has a strong interest, that's okay too. I am on the Libby Bowl committee, which, brief update, the 18th is when we're gonna interview for 2 other members for that committee.
Great.
Uh,
Do you already have those applicants, by the way, or is it?
The applications
people
are,
to-
Due yesterday, weren't they?
yesterday, I think, was the last day. And then complete streets, we definitely need somebody. I think this is really an important one. I think
I'm
once you start
interested
going.
in that, but I have no clue of what.
I was gonna actually ask you if you would want to do
Yeah.
that with the skate park and bicycles and.
Okay,
I
is it,
have-
it's guiding
It's a s-
around.
it's
to
a- the
maybe
complete
bring 2
streets-
Different parks.
Well, no, it's much bigger than that. It's actually citywide initiative,
Okay.
and they've been working on it for quite a while. It's a standing committee that meets on a regular basis, and I didn't bring what I wrote down. They have a standing meeting that they have on a regular basis, and they've been working through completing this whole plan and initiatives to improve the connectivity through the city and looking at all different types of modes of transportation. It's a
Cool.
So there'll be a lot of people there, and they've been doing it for a while, and we've never thought to send anybody to it, but I think there's
Where is
definitely.
do you know where it
We'll get
takes
you the
place?
information. I think it's here.
Okay.
But we'll get you the information. I think that what would be really nice is is there is a, strong, how people get to parks, greater connectivity between the facilities and the community, having safe bike paths. It all feeds into recreation. It's
Perfect.
all a piece of it. So I think it's a great thing to have someone from rec there.
Yeah. I'm into it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool, okay.
That's great.
I'm on all modes of transportation: bike, car,
Exactly.
There you
That's
go.
what I figured,
feet,
so, yeah.
all of that.
And then you're on the bike park, Ryan.
Yeah.
Good?
Hmm.
Do you want another person, or are you good with one?
If someone's interested, it's great to have more eyes on it.
Do you have any interest in that?
Yeah.
The bike park
I do,
project?
Yeah.
I
I'm
figured you
interested. Yeah, I
did,
mean
so-
that would definitely fold into complete streets.
Yes, you have a theme?
Being a future park, yeah, and it's next to a parking lot that people use for
Okay.
parks. So yeah, definitely.
That sounds good.
Okay, it's a lot of musical. This, I hope, hopefully this is
I'm
being
ready.
taped.
We can
Yeah.
review it before we're done.
I wrote it all down, really messy, but I could type it up if you.
we have-
We'll put it on the next
On the minutes.
agenda.
Did you guys go over grant writing?
It'll be on the minutes.
We didn't
and-
talk about grant writing yet.
No, that was the next one, right? So we've done the appointments and the assignments, so the grant writing. Does anybody have any experience in that? I don't.
I know experience of that it's quite difficult and time.
It's a very specific set of
yeah.
talents to be able to do it.
Right.
I'm hesitant just because I know of the workload. I know it definitely be a two-person thing, at least to have someone to bounce off the ideas of grant writing in particular. As far as any particulars go, I know nothing about.
Well, I think we're starting from ground zero. So
Yeah.
part of it, if this committee, when it gets formed, is just starting to do some research
Okay.
and reaching out. I think you have good connections into the rec world. And some of those.
Yeah, we can definitely reach out to the CPRS organization.
They even have places on their website, I think, with grant opportunities.
Probably.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm sure they do.
From years ago, I don't know about now,
I'm
but
sure-
they.
No, I'm sure they do, but it is a matter of dedicating
Well, they're.
staff time or even your time to.
I think
to
there's
pursue it.
multiple levels to this, and I think Ground Zero is really getting out there and even just starting to compile some list of what's available and what they're looking for and what it takes, even before we start to try and write anything. And I think the other thing is maybe coordinating with Greg, because they do more
They do a
grant
lot.
writing for capital improvements.
Yeah.
I think that's the largest area of grant writing going on probably in the city, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
So coordinating with them and what they're doing, and maybe even going to interview them and find out how they're doing it and what their process is.
And would one of their.
Oh, I doubt that's gonna happen, but certainly you can ask.
Coordinate with one of our commissioners.
To give them the rundown on what they're doing and how they're doing it, yeah. And if there's anyone in the community who would love to help write grants, there are definitely people with this talent. We would welcome them to approach us, and definitely, I'm sure I would step up. If someone from the community steps up who's a grant writer who's interested, I would definitely step up to help with that.
We can also try and throw that out through the rec department, and like throw it out on Facebook or something that we're looking for someone.
Exactly.
If they'd be interested in donating their time.
Because I think what's happening here is that no one really has the skill set, so they're afraid to
Yeah.
say, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
But I think if we could get someone with some skill set, I think that, I will speak for myself, I would be willing to put time into it, and I'm thinking probably others here would be willing
Yeah,
as
if we had a
well.
little more guidance, I guess.
Yeah.
And even the possibility of providing stipend for.
I don't even think
If
go
we-
there, I don't
if
think we
we-
need to go, I think we first need to just start off with figuring out what it would take, what's out there, and then, yeah,
Finding the dots and then trying to connect them once the dots are found out.
I think
But
so.
who is that? When?
Well, my cousin writes grants. She lives in Hawaii, but I don't think she writes grants for recreation at all. She's doing psychology, so it's probably a completely different field. So my recollection would just be reaching out to, I don't know, companies or sponsors or something that, or other agencies, I guess, that would be looking to fill spots in, like
Can we
say
leave- can we-
futsal for.
Yeah, can we
example.
leave this unassigned for now?
Okay.
And maybe
sure.
you guys staff could throw it out on the Facebook page, maybe you could reach out. And then when we,
And we'll reach out to Public Works too.
yeah, and then maybe
Their
we could.
department.
Does the arts
Discuss it
committee,
again.
I know they do,
They get
that's my
grants.
only other experiences from high school is in the arts that, I know Linda Taylor did a lot of grant writing. So is there a,
The schools do some grant
yeah,
writing.
is there a city board that we can go to that might have insight into it at all? Just as a first spot?
Yeah, maybe. I think
Sure.
definitely Greg. I think,
Yeah, with their process and what they do.
is anybody willing to do it with me? It's an investigate. I think we need to get 2 names on there and just dig in, knowing that we're not going to guarantee that we're writing a grant, but that we're looking at figuring out how to do it. Okay.
I'll do it.
Start
All right.
looking into it.
We have 2 people now.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I think we just have to, just have to try.
Yeah.
But I still like the idea of Facebook, and I still think the first meeting might be with Greg and whoever in his staff is writing grants and just start to talk to him about it, so.
Okay.
Mr. Grant.
Okay, anything else? You want to review?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you guys want me to review it?
Let's, let's.
I think
roll
I
through
got
that one more
it.
time, just to make sure.
So commissioner assignments, we have building and grounds is Roddick. Classes / camps / aquatics is Gilbert, Wilson, and Firestone. Gymnastics unassigned. Sports leagues is Dutter and kind of Ford, maybe, till he leaves. Levy Bowl committee is Ittner. Bike park, Wilson, Firestone. Complete streets, Wilson. Facilities, Dutter, Ittner. Naming, unassigned for now. Playground, Ittner, and grant writing, Firestone and Ittner.
Did
Catch everything?
Yeah.
Chair Dutter say gymnastics? I thought you put
So
yourself on
we would
gymnastics.
check in, we didn't really.
He's
assign.
informally working on it.
Unofficially.
Unofficially.
Officially.
You can put my name down if you want to,
officially
that's fine.
If you want to fill in the.
Yeah.
There we go.
If you want to make it look pretty, fill it in, that's okay.
Yes,
There we
I
go.
wanna make-
Unassigned / Dutter for
Perfect.
gymnastics.
Okay. That's what I had.
Sounds good. All right. Moving on, 9C, CIP projects.
Do we want to review this now, or do we want to
You
wait
want
until we
to?
have numbers?
I don't think we need to.
I don't think we need to either.
After talking to Mr. Livingston tonight, I think we
because-
wait until see what the magic number is on the 26th.
I would agree because in addition to the numbers that are here, I'd like to see specifically how they're being funded or drawing that out. Like
Yeah.
when we see even the Libby playground and the 282, where did that 282 come from?
Yeah.
Like how was that money drawn out? What was it drawn out from? What
Well,
accounts? And
to be clear, this is this is the Parks
is.
and Recreation Commission
Right.
recommended project list.
Yes.
This isn't the Recreation CIP,
Right.
just to be totally clear.
Okay.
This isn't the document that was used for budgeting.
This is
This is our own
this is
document.
the
Yeah.
budget and ours combined into one, kind of.
Okay, but sure.
Yeah, it's just,
But yes, you're right. We will
I totally
have
agree. I
some
just-
insight into
yes.
that after the 26th.
Yes.
Okay, so tabling that for now.
yay.
It's sure.
Sounds good. All right, good. 10, staff reports. Bike park proposal.
It was, or you can go,
Commissioner
Commissioner Firestone. Would
Oh.
you like to?
Sure. So I attended the city council meeting where this was discussed. Can't think of the date, but it was last month. So the city council agreed to move forward with the environmental study for the Lower Libby. There was a lot of public comment from the neighboring residents to that area against the idea, and the council discussed that, and that's where the request for us to consider putting it in Sarasate Park came from. But overall, the council was in support of the idea of a bike park and then in support enough of putting it in Lower Libby to move ahead with the environmental study.
Do you know what that entailed? The environmental study? It's okay, you're not the right person to ask, never mind.
Yeah.
Well, I think there was 75, if I'm,
$100, yeah.
Yeah.
$7,500 to do that study awarded, but beyond that, and when that will happen, that study hasn't moved forward yet, so.
My understanding from the discussion was that it includes kind of like physically that site as well as kind of the effects of parking, traffic, of what the change of use would impact.
Okay.
Do we have any idea as to the time frame of that study?
Not currently. It's in community development's hands, or planning development's hands.
Okay.
So
Can we add that to our update list for our next meeting?
where that,
Yeah,
where that,
kinda like the
where
public
that
works,
report,
but-
where that environmental report is.
Are we looking at like 6 months or 2 months or?
I will get, you'd like a timetable,
Well, just an update,
an update.
just like with
Which
Public Works on
includes
projects. It's not a Public Works, but
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
and if there's, I don't know if there's a role for me in any of the communications, but if there is, let me know if there's something if someone I could keep in touch with or.
Sure.
update on the Lidbowl Commission, or committee, excuse me. We've met and we're going to interview candidates on the 18th and hopefully seat 2 more members. It'll include myself, someone from the parks, someone from arts. Amber will be staffing it, I believe, and then will be 2 other members from the community.
Great.
Get to work after it gets seated. So that's the update on that.
Sounds good. Open house?
Oh,
You
sorry, I
all,
thought we were on here. Apologies.
it's okay.
I thought we were on commissioners' updates. I apologize.
No worries. You all got the flyer on the open house? Did you look over that flyer? It all looks good to you?
Yes.
Everything looks-
I think you roll with it. I like the look of it, you know?
Me too.
The faces are a little suspect, but just go with it. I think you go with it.
You roll with that?
Yeah.
Adam likes it that way.
I think you roll with it and see if anybody notices.
No, of course,
It's like a Where's Waldo?
Yeah.
of course, we are not putting this flyer in, but this was.
It's just checking to see if we actually look at
I
stuff.
was actually checking. That was a test to see if you were really paying attention. The real open house flyer is here, which we have in the office to hand out, and
We'll have to hold on to these.
Yeah, I think
and
my
we'll
favorite
go on our
one
next
is-
activity guide, because when this is the real flyer with no photo of me in it. So I
true.
said, why is it that Parks and Rec manager is not?
Kudos to the Photoshop
in there.
department.
Definitely.
So,
Did you give this to him on April 1st?
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Well before that.
Somebody give this to Jeff yet? Because my favorite
He's
is-
seen it.
that's-
This was waiting for Softclays and I when we got back from our
That's
conference.
my favorite one, is Jeff in the pink
Yes.
dress.
Well, so for those who are in the public, you might explain what the whole, yeah.
we've,
The
Faces.
gag is face.
yes,
someone
we have
else's
Photoshopped
body,
faces
yeah.
in places where they
Staff
weren't
faces.
meant to be.
Yes.
Staff faces where they weren't meant to be.
Sophocles is everywhere.
I am everywhere.
Speaking of Softclays being everywhere, I don't know if you guys know this, but it is Softclays' birthday today.
Happy birthday.
Throw that out there.
He's
He's 72 today. Happy
I
birthday.
don't feel a day over it either. So yeah, I was thinking to announce that at the beginning of the meeting, hoping we might, on behalf of the birthday, keep it under 2 hours, but no.
Well, we did table an item.
Well,
We did table
yeah,
and
let's
thank
rattle
you.
through this.
Let's go.
Yeah. So open house is
good.
all the information there is correct. The photos aren't, but the information is correct. What we'd like to ask of commissioners is trying to get some donated items for our raffle, and trying to do that 2 weeks prior to the actual event, because we like to try to, when we get it the day of, it's a little tricky to try to package it and put it out that way. Not that we're appreciative whether we get it the day of or 2 weeks before, but we're just asking if you could reach out to local businesses or even further out to Ventura and ask for a donated item.
Definitely.
And our department will be more than happy to send them a thank you letter, and we will, of course, recognize each sponsor at the event when we're doing the raffle. And we've already had Real Cheap Sports donate, I think,
$200 worth of items.
Nice.
6 different
That's
items.
great, yeah.
That was really
Hammocks,
nice.
backpack,
Yeah.
tent,
And
some
so
really
they-
nice items.
They left us a nice stack of business cards, which we will
Yeah.
leave at our welcome table, and we will do the same for any other organization that will make a raffle donation. It's a free raffle, and if they make a donation to the event, we will certainly highlight them at the event.
Are you going to give us sign-up times or email that to us before the event? or-
Sure, we will, if you'd like that. We usually ask our commissioners to man an area or person
Of course.
be at an area, whether it's the welcome table or serving the free food that we offer, the pizza and the popcorn, and
Yeah.
or being in the front office. We had quite a bit of action in our
Yeah, we did in
front
the front
office on
office.
that day because it also is a registration kickoff for our summer program.
Yeah, that was great.
So it was really
We had a
It-
playground
quite a
booth
turnover.
last year.
Last year, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I think
This year in master plan.
we could do master plan, and I think we come at it with like commissioner booth. so
Would you like
everybody
to?
kind of-
Yeah, we did. We had was there a separate commissioner booth?
I think it was together. I think
not
it
yet.
was commissioner and,
Last year was
Wanted-
one kind of,
Yeah.
yeah.
You'll notate that, Allison. for
Yes.
mostly
yeah.
Libby.
And it'll be similar to last year that I did kind of shifts. So there was a 3-hour event. If a commissioner would be willing to commit to working at a station for an hour and a half, whether it's table or food or whatnot, and then the rest you can leave or just go enjoy the event. So I'll email that out to you guys, what the needs are as far as
Sounds good.
spaces.
Yeah,
Great.
in addition to the two, we had one bounce house, and then we had the, help me out, obstacle course bounce house or
Yeah.
playground, if
Yeah,
you
last
will.
year.
And this year, we're going to add a climbing wall.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah,
That'll be very popular.
Still free.
all
really
all
nice.
free. The whole everything there will
Great.
be free.
It's a great event.
Yeah.
And
it is
what's
great.
going on the same day then? Is there anything else?
It's
Well,
the 5-a-side.
The-
It'll be their closing
It is
ceremonies.
their, so like
Yep.
last year, okay.
Yep, they'll
Yeah.
coincide, which will be great. It's a lot of fun to have them coming over.
yeah, by intention.
Yep.
Great.
To have that end at the same, their event end at the same time. We'll have a bit of a captive audience to come over and enjoy our open house.
Timing.
Are there any other new additions besides the climbing wall this year?
No, not
Not as of
really.
now, it's gonna be.
Same
Yeah.
format. We'll have demonstrations, some of our demonstrations in the multipurpose room for some of our current classes, and the gymnastics. The gym will be open all day with gymnastic staff in there, just doing various activities,
Yeah.
fun
And
activities.
if you guys have ideas of different things, I mean, we try and kind of think about the different programs we offer and the different facilities we have and what we can offer that day. But if you guys have ideas of, it'd be great to do X, Y, Z, I'd love to
I
hear that.
still think it'd be
and-
nice to have an outdoor stage to do some of the demonstrations. Because
We
both the
talked
years
about
I've
that
been, we've
last
talked
year.
about, we haven't quite made it happen yet because
Yeah.
people don't know what's going on inside.
It's
And
true.
so if you could have your demonstrations like maybe under the tree down over that way with some shade, I think
tough to
people
get
would
people
draw
inside.
to it, yeah, because when it was inside, you'd go and there'd be a couple people, but most people, even though you're announcing it, they don't catch it. But
Yeah.
if you have it outside, you don't even need to announce it that much. People will just be drawn to
Well, and
the.
we could also do like our raffles from
That
that,
stage
that,
area,
that
yeah.
place.
I like
Okay.
the outdoor stage area.
Yeah, and so kung fu could maybe be out there and ballet and it's not perfect, but it really showcases the
No,
program so
I-
everybody sees it.
We
We talked about that
kinda-
last year, and I don't remember why we eventually didn't,
I think it
but-
just, it was still new. It was
Yeah.
only year 2.
Yeah.
Year 3, well,
I think we can
No, I love that
separate it
idea.
out enough where it's not
Like under the-
interfering with all the display
so you see it from everywhere.
tables
Yeah.
out there, but you can still see it, and it's not.
And even if
distracting.
gymnastics would come out, I think it'd be good if they'd come out and do something out there. Because though the gym is open, not everybody figures
Not everybody
it out.
realizes it, that's true.
And so if you have them out there, and then it might draw more people in.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, it is tough to get folks in the multipurpose room, for whatever reason.
They aren't thinking about, there's so much going on out there, they don't even know to go.
Well, and I think a lot of the kids are busy outside at all the individual booths, that if you have stuff outside, they see it, they might tell mom and dad too, hey, I want to do that.
And I hope we have a fencing
Yeah.
Fencing
demonstration.
demo.
I'm
Really
not
happy
sure
with
why
last
we
year?
haven't, I'm not sure why.
She wasn't able to make it last year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
She was
usually
planning on it,
vendor
but she wasn't
availability.
Yes,
able.
if they're available, but that would be so much fun.
Yeah.
It would.
I would love to see the fencing.
Well,
There's probably a ton of kids that would take.
If they see that, I
You get to play with
know.
the
I get to sword fight. Am I allowed
That's
to
what
do
I
that?
think. Some of the, if the kids see some of this
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
Pretty sure my son would be all over
he's
it.
in.
Kung Fu too with the sword.
somehow we'll do the raffle draw. We do the demonstration and the raffle draw right after, or the raffle draw before it, and then the demonstration. I'm not sure which will draw.
I think the beauty of the demonstration is if they can see it, if it's visible from there, people will just go. You don't
They will
even.
grab
It'll draw them.
Yeah.
It's true.
Okay, that's
Cool.
great. It's a good
Thank you.
suggestion. Yeah, thanks for that.
Anything else on the open house?
We just hope you can attend. Mark your
Oh, we'll
calendar.
be there.
Mark your calendars. No penciling it in. Pen.
Year 3.
All over that day.
This is the third year.
Third year?
Actually, Mr. Dutter is, speaking of people in the.
Yeah, that's right.
He
That's,
is.
He's
that's why
front and
he's
center.
okay with the modified one.
Naturally, yes.
Yeah,
I was
Chair
okay
Dutter
with the
is front and
modified one,
center on
exactly.
the actual, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Your face isn't
Good.
on ours, but
Move
Department
on.
revenue and expense?
Gosh, I probably gave you more detailed information, speaking of tabling things. How about if I just let you know a few general thoughts here?
That works.
We're pretty much on pace. Last fiscal year, we brought in 520,000 in revenue. We're on pace to bring in that same amount this fiscal year. On the flip side, expense, that's all expenses, including staff, we're at the same pace on expense too. So when we're talking surplus, and not to speak prematurely, but I came up, my calculations were a $90,000 surplus. So if everything stays the same, it will be the same at the end, that amount at the end of this fiscal year. There was some glitches if you took it, really with a fine-tooth comb to look it over. In this current fiscal year, you'll see the staffing budget is well over the prior year. So, not that I necessarily want to draw your attention to that, but when you talk about, so on page, let's see if I can get you there quickly. On page 4 and 5 of the
Of 2016.
of expenditure of 2016. Thank you, Commissioner Intner. So
Yeah, it's
let
at the
me-
top of the page.
Let me see if I can get there. So fiscal year 2016, there's revenue. So it's actually near the end of your packet. I highlighted it, but it's not gonna, so, I'm sorry, so on page 1, near the end, it should, if you look at the top, it'll say expenditure, budget, and actual, and it'll say period 1 through 8. That's July through August. So are you all with me on that page? It's, again, near the end of your packet, near the end of
Is
your
this on,
packet.
is this on page 4 toward the top?
No, actually, it's on, you should see it on page 1.
Oh, where you've highlighted. Okay, got it, under department salaries.
And it's just a little darker color. It's about, it says 50, it's in account 1502. You see that 1502-0011-000? If you see the current month,
This year's adopted.
this year's, year-to-date.
Okay.
Year-to-date, if you look at that column, it says 87,717. If you look at the prior,
Yeah.
again, for full transparency here, it says prior year actual 43,160. clearly, it is almost, well, it's
Double.
pretty much double what it was. The same. So there was a glitch in the Springbrook system. Somehow, probably part-time staff from other departments were put in
My note was,
our department.
how many FTEs do we have? That was the question I wrote down. I'm like, I know we have some new staff, but I didn't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
it was to that
No.
degree.
24/7?
Yeah, no, that was the question mark I wrote, was how many FTEs are we talking
So,
about?
and you'll see even, where's the other on
It's
that?
toward the back on page 4 where it breaks it down a little more. Where,
Sorry.
like even 1503,
Yeah, they're a bit out of order. I apologize for that.
page 3 and 4 is the
'Cause-
detail. But I think but what you're saying is
Yeah.
that there's a glitch and
There's
that's
a
not
glitch in the
correct.
system, not only in 1502, which is,
But 1503 as well.
but 1503 as well.
And
If you-
then-
when you look at those numbers and I
But the
I'm sorry,
adopted-
yeah, it's on page 4.
3 and 4,
You found
because the
it.
adopted is wrong as well, correct? The adopted budget amount?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's not,
No,
okay.
that's not, that's correct, the adopted amount. It's
Okay.
just if you see, sorry, I won't be
It's okay.
able to quickly get you to that first
No,
page.
it's okay.
But if you see,
But the point is, it's a mistake,
it is.
and we'll have different
It's
numbers at a different point.
You will.
Okay,
It's
good.
a big mistake, but what I want to just kind of, the overriding message is
Uh-huh.
revenue's on track to be the same as it was the previous fiscal year. The expense is on the same track to be equal to the previous fiscal year. Although for next year's budget going forward, I told you we increased our advertising. We were at, I think, 25,000 and we bumped it up to 33,000.
To do the mailings.
Because of the mailings and then whatever other advertising we needed to do. And even staffing budget because of minimum wage increase. And when the minimum wage increased, we actually moved the whole salary scale 5%. Just to let you know, anyone, whatever step they were in, they all got pushed 5% more. So we're going to just take the number we currently have and bump it 5%. Just FYI, if you're looking at those current numbers for the adopted budget, it'll increase 5%.
All right, well, you answered my
For
question I
staff
had written down.
expense.
On the staffing.
Yes, we're just going to, whatever you see the adopted budget is for this fiscal year, don't look at what the numbers are now because they need to be corrected.
Yeah.
But we're gonna add 5% to that. When I say what the numbers are, just until we correct that mistake.
Yeah,
that's,
no.
Up
That's fine.
through
Of
February,
course.
yeah. And again, much like questions about the, what we have for those numbers in the Sarasota master plan and those costs, if you're concerned about those and you want those questions answered, the same for our budget, whether it's revenue or expense. If you see any glaring discrepancies, feel free to email me and I will respond.
Great. Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody have any questions about it?
What's the next?
Summer activity guide.
Okay, yes, will be the last week of April. Those activity guides should be mailed out.
Exciting.
So we haven't got the first draft of we've sent all the information over to our new publisher. And so we're
always some
anxiously
kinks.
awaiting the first draft of that. So we're at April 7th and
Got a couple weeks.
2 weeks, we plan to have that guide ready for mailing in the last week of April.
Cool.
And as you know, it's going to be the first time, at least in my history, that those guides will be mailed
It's very exciting.
to Oakview and everyone in
So basically like the
93023.
school district, yeah, okay.
The whole school district.
district boundaries almost,
Boundaries
yeah.
and.
Even beyond a little,
and
the valley.
beyond into
Okay.
Oakview.
Nice.
Very nice.
That's
We are
good news.
definitely gonna reach a
And I'm so
larger
happy
demographic.
for you
Yeah.
Yeah.
that you don't
We're
have to count them
excited.
all out.
Yep.
Getting a
Some
few more
class
hours.
updates, and just program updates. Oh, gosh, we have so many. I'll try to get through this, quickly. The Michelle Palza event, the Michelle Palza Katie Edwards Gymnastics Exhibition, that will be April 29th. That's a Friday, April 29th. The event starts at 6 PM. It's $5 at the door. So we don't really have any pre-ticket sales. You just show up and it's $5. So that's Friday, April 29th, 6 PM. There'll be a fire safety fair at the park the next day on Saturday from 10 to
Okay.
2. And they use that front, where we have our open house. They use that front grass area right in front of the Boyd Center. So that will
Gonna
be
be
the
a busy
following
day.
day. And it's a pretty big event.
If you're looking for a time to go visit Sarasota and see a lot of things going on, that's the time. It'll be
Yes.
five-a-side and pony and volleyball and tai chi and kung
the fire
fu
safety.
and the fire
fire
safety.
safety event.
Wow.
Yeah.
They are
Park-
aware of
Good luck
all-
finding parking.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah. Well, we are going to allow them to cone off a few areas of parking spaces in front of the building because
trucks.
For the
the
fire
fire
truck.
trucks need to get in there. But otherwise, yeah, it will be, as Allison said, a
Yep.
very busy day.
Walk if you can.
Yeah, if you can walk.
Ride your
around, do
bikes.
it. Allison already mentioned our next Parent Night Out movie will be Friday, April 22nd, and you guys know all the details of that. The movie will be home. I've seen that movie. It's a great animated movie. I enjoyed that movie. I'll repeat about our dodgeball program. Speaking of Friday night programs, that's every first and third Friday of the month. We pay $3 and just drop in, and we've had, much like the Parent Night Out,
Really good numbers past couple
20,
months.
sometimes 25, sometimes 40.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah,
do
it spiked to
recommend
40 one
that
week.
it's children ages 4th grade and older.
Okay.
And it's generally almost middle school,
4th to
primarily
8th, maybe
middle
9th,
school age
yeah.
kids coming to that activity. Back to the Michelle Paul's event. It will be filmed, and we put it on by our staff, and we put it on Channel 10, and we also provide, I think, $5.
DVDs.
The participants can purchase a DVD of the event. Tennis tournament, do you want to, it's the week after next, or this, not
So
this
it
week?
starts the 20th. So
20th.
2 weeks from Wednesday. 2 weeks
Or
from
two-
yesterday, yeah.
2 weeks from yesterday? Yeah. So, yeah, that would be the 20th, April 20th through the 24th.
24th, yeah.
Yep. I'll pass out this flyer. There's a Shakespeare festival that's in the works and planning on happening in this summer. So the dates, July 30th, 31st in Libby Bowl. I'll pass this flyer around. If students or adults want to participate through the rec department, they can call for auditions, to make an appointment for auditions at 272-3882, for those who are still watching this broadcast. And then if they want more information on the Shakespeare Festival, they can go to ohighshakespearefestival.com.
And will it be on the webpage?
We probably have the flyer on the webpage.
I don't think we do yet. It just,
But it will be.
pretty recent,
We
but it will
will.
be.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get it
I think it's
there,
probably on
but
Facebook.
They can go to ohighshakespearefestival.com and they can get all that information. I think that's it. Any questions about programs, activities?
I have a question. You guys had mentioned there's a fall basketball league that you guys are going to be, it doesn't fall in the summer one, but you guys talked about expanding to a fall basketball league.
I'm going to be, so we have adult basketball league goes pretty much year round.
Right.
The youth, so we're going to run our normal league. We'll start as usual in December. We're going to do a preseason youth basketball clinic, which will be 8 weeks starting beginning of September, I think. So that'll be to get kids ready for the youth basketball season. So it'll just be one afternoon a week. We'll have different grades laid out.
Kind of like you're doing
register.
the fusion soccer, but a version.
Yeah,
for basketball.
exactly. So it'll be working on the skills, the basics, and getting them in shape and ready to go for the season that'll start in December. So it's more of a clinic than a league.
Okay, and it'll be one afternoon a week, so it won't necessarily conflict with like AYSO.
Exactly. Yeah. So it'll be, I think, Tuesday afternoons is what we landed on. Gym space is always fun. But yeah, so Tuesday afternoons, just an hour a week, just to either get back in the swing of it, or if they've never played basketball in their life and they don't want to just jump into a league, they can sign up for the clinic and learn how to dribble, learn how to pass, learn how to shoot, defense, all the basics, and that'll be run by our staff.
I think that's great.
Right.
And we'll give you more
Details. yeah.
details and more like
Sure.
on our
Yeah, it
May.
just got
It'll be in our
brought up.
activity guide.
We'll definitely talk about all the summer offerings that we
sure.
have, but also maybe even a little into the fall.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be in this summer activity guide. I'm gonna have a preview of that
Is there-
program.
Well, it's just a question about something similar to that. Have there been any thoughts to do anything like that with volleyball?
It's a great question.
A skills, an indoor skills kind of situation versus a teams league kind of thing.
Youth volleyball, we haven't had any discussions of doing that.
Okay.
There's the Youth Volleyball
Outdoor grass.
United States Youth Volleyball League that run, and it's a pretty small demographic, I think, for that. So they run that.
There's a lot of kids who go out of the valley to do volleyball.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Privately paying for it. We've done it. It just would be an interesting thing to see if there's some room for something local at a rec league kind of, a rec
Interesting,
level to, for skills.
We do volleyball camp in the summer, but that's pretty much all we do. Interestingly, though, we're looking at getting an adult drop-in started for volleyball.
It used to be so strong. There used to be,
We've had somebody come forward that's interested in running it.
There used to be like 4 levels of play back in the day. for
Well, it
volleyball.
might start to come back.
So you have a person who stepped up.
We have a person that's expressed interest just in the past week, that's expressed interest in volunteering to run a drop-in.
Great.
So we're hopefully going to get that going. I'm hoping to start it in the summer.
Sunday nights?
Not sure yet. Probably Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. 'Cause that's the
Okay,
only
it
time we
historically
could, but-
there was a Sunday.
Was it
night.
Sunday nights?
Yeah, it used to be.
I didn't know.
Back in the day.
There you go.
But it would be interesting to see if there's a possibility for some, I was thinking
Yes.
more like, 5th, 6th, junior high kind of age, because they have an ability then to play at the junior high.
Okay,
Might be a nice time to give them an opportunity to develop skills.
interesting. I
Well-
will look into that.
One more thing,
In the
sorry.
meantime, no worries. No, in the meantime, we're still, we haven't given up on the trying to offer team program and getting participation in that, and we're going to move to free.
Free, okay.
In the fall, we're going to make
gonna get
A new
real
approach,
push
I
to-
like it.
One way
Yeah.
or another.
It's going to be, you come and we will feed you, and you can play in our game room and
I
watch
think it's
movies
great.
and
It's to
Maybe
get them
video
there, and
games.
then
video games even.
develop the clientele.
Yeah. Yes. I want to get them.
And Maya's going to spearhead it
place.
and get everybody there.
Yeah.
Get the word out. Okay.
There we go.
There'll be raffles there too. Free raffles.
Yeah,
Free raffles. Why
sure.
not? We're gonna-
We'll give away stuff. Raffle off the pizza.
A whole box. Yeah.
Online registration percentages?
Yeah, I know, I was cautioned about, to just give it time, but, so it's been about 3 months, and before we started this interactive, our interactive recreation guide, and we dropped the convenience fee, it was at 18%, and we've moved to 26% in 3 months.
Very
So
nice.
I think
good.
that's a nice
Yeah.
jump. It's over a 3-month period of time,
Mhm.
so it would be nice. I know some other departments
Incentivize.
Incentivized, but have boasted 80% of their registration being online.
I don't even know if we want to go that far.
Well,
I like people coming in
I
sometimes.
know.
but-
There'll always be
They'll come in.
questions.
They will come because they have, that we're the place where they participate.
Well,
We will still see them.
Fair
It's
enough.
full.
That's great.
Yeah.
Glad
Don't worry,
it's
all
going
the
well.
commissioners will be coming in from time to time.
There
too.
you go. There you go.
Well, I'll jump on that for the Ojai Tennis Tournament. You go on ojaitourney.org and you can order your tickets there too. So you don't-
Nice.
Sweet.
So good.
That's awesome.
They've got a,
Are they doing the app again this year?
what's that?
The tennis
Yeah.
tournament app?
Well,
Is
it's
that-
not up and, I tried to get in mine and
Okay.
Is it an app with the schedule?
Yeah, last year, it was Jill
Nice.
Cox, I think, she,
Yeah.
they did,
Yeah.
Wow.
did an app completely from scratch last year, and it had the schedule, the standings, it was.
yeah, I've
and
tried
people
getting
could
into
po-
it. It's not updated.
All these
so I don't
talents.
You
know
could
what
link to
ask for. I missed
social
last
media and
night's-
share photos and everything, it was really cool.
Yeah, I missed Tuesday's meeting. I was
Okay,
coaching tennis, so.
we'll see if it happens.
That's excusable.
Ironic.
Coaching the undefeated Villanova boys tennis.
very nice.
Undefeated in league.
Congratulations.
Side note. Congrats.
Well, that's a good jump. Percentages
Yeah,
through
I
it,
think so.
Yeah.
I think
That
so.
is- yeah.
And we just keep pushing anytime we send a, re-inviting people to, re-inviting to re-enroll. When we ask folks to re-enroll for a previous session, something they participated in, we now put the link in the email, so
So
when they
nice.
hit the link, it'll take them right to the shopping cart to re-enroll.
Yeah.
You have made it very simple.
Yeah,
That's
we're
good.
trying to make it as easy as possible for them to register online from the convenience of home.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Any other info?
No other info unless you have, unless
I was
Allison. you have
I was gonna do a quick update on Libby Under the Lights.
Oh, yes.
We had that this past Friday. It was our second one. We did one in the fall on the heels of the new playground celebrating, and it was a hit. People really enjoyed it. So people were asking, you guys were asking for another one. So we did another one on Friday night. We didn't quite do as much promotion for this one. We pretty much Facebook, email, and then flyers around our facility. But we didn't do OVN or some other things, but we still had a really great turnout. It kind of blew up on Facebook. People were sharing it a lot, which was great. I'm estimating about 300 to 500 came through, is my guess. We gave out a lot of balloons. Fingers were pretty sore by the end of the night, but had a great time. People were really appreciative. We had Scratch Food Truck and the Mi Gusta Gourmet Tamale Cart were both out there. So it was nice I think people appreciated having a couple options. I think they did good business, and we had a lot of fun. OBN actually did a little photo with a little blurb in the paper yesterday, so I'll pass that around. You guys can take a look. So yeah, it was a great event. I know Mr. Commissioner Firestone was out there. It was good to see you there.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that on. We had a
course.
great time there, and it was awesome to see that many kids playing
Yeah.
at night.
It was very fun. So we're planning to do it 3 times a year. For now, it's what we're thinking is spring, summer, and fall. So we're thinking to do another one in like late July.
Yeah.
Every 4 months is what we're kind of thinking, so. Assuming that the Sheriff's Department will continue
Is
to
it
donate their
willing?
lights.
Maybe we'll just invest in some of our own.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's in the budget.
They're willing to bring them.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, they are. That's true. Why volunteer?
Yeah, and the Sheriff's Department, they're great. They even came and hung out and had some tamales, and they come to station the lights, they come to turn on the lights, then they come back to turn them off and take them back. So they're great. We really appreciate them coming out for that, so,
Nice.
That's great.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, thanks for putting it on.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Commissioner reports and comments?
I made mine at the wrong time, so I'm done.
We got the Libby Bowl committee. Anybody else? Tennis tournament, 2 weeks from last night, from yesterday.
Yep, Pac-12.
We ready?
At Libby.
Town will be busy.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, it'll be.
All right.
Ride your bike.
Exactly. Ride your bike everywhere. City council liaison, Commissioner, or Councilwoman Clapp is not here, so moving on. Meeting dates, the 5th, I believe, right? Say yes.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
right.
Good de
Yeah.
Mayo.
Cinco de
Is-
Mayo.
Are we
Cinco
all
de
good?
Mayo.
You were all good with that date? I'm
Yeah.
assuming. Yeah.
And agenda items. Anybody have anything above and beyond?
No, just things we tabled and move forward. And,
The usual.
Yeah, enough.
Alrighty.
and then the update on the, from the bike park,
The
whatever's
environmental
going
study.
on with it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not always on there, but
Uh,
Good.
There's just some,
Go for it.
Chair Dutter, there's just a, I think we might have already been mentioned about the bid, awarding the bid, maybe we didn't, so, I think,
it's on the agenda.
Interim McClary, mentioned that they're awarding the bid for the Sarasota picnic areas at the next, council meeting on April 12th.
Right.
So, just informational there. And then never mind, there's Park and Rec, Commission interviews, but now it says to be determined.
I was gonna say,
It's
I
under
haven't
the
heard
April
yet,
12th.
and I'm one of the,
No. Oh, are you?
I'm up
one?
for,
Oh,
my
you're
term's up.
for- Your
Mhm.
term's up? And so is Commissioner Ford?
Yes.
You said yours was too.
Next month.
Mine is as well.
Okay, all right.
I was a
Then,
replacement.
sorry, that's all I have, was just to remind for the awarding a bid for the picnic areas will be on the 12th. So it is moving
Cool.
forward, and I also may have mentioned that the actual project starting end of August, early September, which works out great for our department because it won't interfere with our camp program. And it is the high season for picnic rentals too.
Nice. Alrighty. Anything else? All right, that's it. Adjourn. Thank you.